Well, somebody might be wondering why I'm smiling so much, and I'll tell you real quickly. So yesterday was a quick post-celebration of Salah, and we're joined by Sadiq, who happens to be the 3 Music Awards CEO or frontline person, and we're all dressed in our agbada, and and then 24 hours later we are back into our suit and our ties. Good morning, and I say fashion has taken us to a different place. You're welcome to Prime Morning. My name is Jay Foley, and yes, I'm not alone in the suit and tie business. I'm also here with Daniel Dazi. Also,
for some reason, I don't feel as wealthy as I did yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, if Adana and I were saying that it looks like when you're the African agbada, you feel there's money in your bank. Your bank balance is just shooting higher.
Life is literally happening in front of your eyes.
So one more time, you're welcome to the show. It's a wonderful Tuesday. Yes, a rainy yesterday though, but wherever you are, I hope you are staying safe as well. Welcome to the show. Well,
yeah, and absolutely welcome to Prime Morning. My name is Emma Fakusiadesi. Today is quite a special day, Daniel.
Yes. Today we are having our virtual policy forum. We've been having conversations about reopening schools, what to do. In fact, on the front page of the Finder today, that story is there. But how do we reopen the schools? What are the protocols that we must apply? What are the resources we must put in place? Today we are bringing together the brightest, most seasoned minds in education in the country. I'm so excited about our panel. Yeah, I feel like I can just start and people just talk.
Just talk, let me listen to you.
Yeah, and it will be great. But Professor Steve Nader, Anis Hafa, Patrick Ewa, Professor Jena Nopokwa Nana Kofi Kwache, Dr. Bernardo Koboy, Dr. Angela Odoy.
Yeah.
And we are also going to be joined by teacher unions, parents in our Zoom audience.
As well.
Very, very encouraging.
Very
Honestly.
good stakeholders duly represented.
Oh yes, I think COVID-19 has pushed the entire world beyond health I think it's just prioritized health, and it's showing how important health is to every single part of our existence.
Exactly. And that how it affects education is what we are going to zoom in today. But the fact that we are having a conversation alone shows the impact of COVID.
Absolutely. All right, so good morning once again. Let's start you off with our daily nuggets. Today's nugget is by Amanda Bynes, and she says people should find happiness in the little things like family.
Interesting.
Family could be like a really huge thing. It's amazing how she portrays as quite little.
Some Ghanaian families you will not find happiness.
That's why it's important to create happiness in whichever situation you're in.
In your mind.
I think this family's reference to social networking.
Oh, well, that's
because our families are huge. In Ghana, our families are very huge. And if you want to find happiness in your extended family, you just might not have it. It's another thing altogether.
All right, now who's Amanda Bynes?
Amanda Laura Bynes was born on the 3rd of April, 1986. She's an American actress. Good-looking lady there.
I must say, yes. These are signs of you trying to add on 2-3 more wives when you get married. Yes, let's move on.
When I wear my brother, we can talk about that.
He wanted to stick to 4.
Well, more on Amanda this morning. So she's best known for her work in television and film throughout 1990 and 2000s. Now, she rose to prominence as a child star in the 1990s and early 2000s on Nickelodeon through the sketch comedy series All That and its spin-off series, The Amanda Show as well. Well, great info about her this morning, and that's she is on our daily nugget. So, what's next?
I'll probably go to shake up.
All right.
Let's get people working out.
Let's shake ourselves up.
How many push-ups can you do?
Don't try.
Let's go and do the shake up.
Don't do this at home. Whatever these two men will
things in this. Nah. No, I don't like to talk about what I can. I like to show.
Whatever Daniel and Jay will tell you, don't try that.
So my roommate, when he's about to do push-ups, he'll say, "Charlie, if I catch 100, then you go tell me because I just forget myself and I just keep going."
Don't trust him. Listen to Jamal. Shake up coming up.
Good morning, lovely viewers. We're here again, my team and I. We're here to give you the shake up. It's all about the shake up, the morning workout. So you ready? My team are ready. 1, we go 2. Good. 3, side. 4, nice one. 5, 6, let's go. 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good, very good. Okay, so now let's go. We go 1. Let's go. Change to the side. 2. We go 3. Very good. 4. Let's go. 5, 6. Very good. 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Give me 5 more. Give me 5 more. 1. We go. 2, 3. Very good. 4, 5, 6. Let's go. Let's go. 6. Okay. 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 Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Warm up. Warm up. Let's go. Up. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. Give me 10 more. Go. Go. Up. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now watch. Let's go. Open. We go. Let's go. 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 Keep going. Okay. Start counting. 1. Let's go. Go. 2. We go. 3. Let's go. 4. Good. 5. Let's go. 6. 7. Let's go. 7. Go. 8. 9. 10. Let's go. Give me 10 more. Go. 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 10 more. 1. Let's go. 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 2. Let's go. 3. 4. Nice one. 5. 6. Go. 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 7. Let's go. Let's go. 7. 8. 9. 10. Very good. Very good. Very good. 10. Now pick it up. Pick it up. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. Face this side. Let's go. Go. Keep going. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. Go. Give me 10 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We have 2 more. Let's go. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go. 6. Go. 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, last one. Last one. Let's go. Keep going. Don't stop. That's the last one. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. Very good. Stretch. Stretch. 10 seconds rest. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Stretch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold it up. Let's go. We go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, change. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Very good. All right, up, up, up. Okay, let's go. Stretch up. Yeah, let's go. Up. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. Take it same way. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go. We go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, change. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. Let's go. Let's go. We go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. Very good. Let's go. Go. Side. Let's go side. Side. Now we go with the waist. Let's go. 1, 2. We go. 3. We go. 4. Okay. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very good. Okay. Thank you for watching. Catch you same time tomorrow. It's all about the shake-up. Stay safe.
Well, for Jamal, it's all about the shake-up. But for us here, it's not all about the shake-up. We still have some news buzzing in front of the papers. Some interesting ones, of course. But we're reminding you this morning that Susie Herbal Center has bought CB men's capsule and CB women's capsule as well. Now, for the men, it enhances your urine flow. If you have double urinal, if you have burning sensation during urination, if you have discharge after urination, I always say that every urinal problem, we recommend CB Men capsules for you. Now for the women, if you have challenges with itches, if you have discharge, if you have anything that's causing you some sort of distress or menstrual pain, we recommend CB Women's capsule. Now it's available in all herbal, pharmacy and chemical shops. You can call them on 0247 341 671, 0247 341 671. Now Susie Herbal Center, Ghana Money Mema Yenadamos. They've also got another one, which I think that if these men want to they don't want the capsule, then they can have that one. It's the CB soap. It's for manicure and pedicure. All you have to do is apply for 10 minutes and you scrub your palm, and then you've got beautiful palms, probably like mine. And for foot wash, you can just dip cotton into water, rub on the soap and apply for 10 minutes and also scrub, and you're fine.
Well, I know Valentine's Day is past, but still there are more days coming, like even Father's Day. And how about you just place a phone call to Fan Milk and then have them deliver, a packet or a package, of Fan Milk products to your house? It's possible, you can do it. Even you can do that today. So, ladies, if you want to put your man to the test, how about you pick your phone right now and call 0551 767676, okay? And guess what? You can order Fat Milk yogurt to your house now, right about now. And guess what? They deliver as well, and you pay for the delivery still, but only if you're ordering more than 20 Ghana cedis worth of products. And they'll come to you if you live in Kaswa, Accra, or in Tema. So easy does it, all right? You can order it to somebody's house and even have the person pay, or you can pay via your mobile money as well. Real quickly.
I'll order it to your house and have you pay, Jay.
Have you pay for it?
Of course, if you listen to Joy Asempa at Dome Hits FM in the US or the UK and you can't access it on the TuneIn app, the problem is not you, it's us. We sincerely apologize, but we are still available on adomeonline.com and myjoyonline.com, where you can listen to all your favorite programs on your multimedia stations.
Awesome. So time for us to do our news flash and find out what's buzzing on the front of our newspapers. Don't go away.
So like Jay said earlier, the front pages are buzzing this morning with all the news that you need. I'm going to start with the Finder because it has a story that we're going to deal with today. How to open schools, religious places. Large-scale measures may only be of limited effect without individual responsibility. It's a piece by the editor of the Finder newspaper, Elvis Darko. But before we do anything else, let me just remind viewers that we are live on Facebook. So look, if you have to dash out of the house, don't worry. Just pick your phone, go on Joy Prime. That's our Facebook page, Joy Prime. And you can still catch your favorite Prime morning on your way to work. And now the front page of the Finder newspaper also says, Dr. Baumia cuts sword for construction work to begin on barracks roads. 7 million Ghana cedis needed to complete a 100-bed infectious disease facility, and claim that May's salary will delay is false. That's the controller.
May's salary will not delay.
No, in Jesus' name.
Private schools, workers in private schools are actually crying. It's in front of the BNFT this morning that after they were paid March salaries, they haven't been paid, and they're not expecting any salaries anytime soon. Anyway,
that's quite unfortunate.
That's sad. Well, in front of the Daily Graphic, surely you must have heard this on Joy News 99.7 yesterday, that a landlord shoots his tenants. Now, in a fit of rage, landlord shoots tenants. I just want you to understand it, that a brutal afternoon shooting act allegedly perpetrated by a landlord in Afonko has ended the life of his tenants. And this is simply because the tenants refused to vacate the room that he had hired from the landlord. Yeah. Though this is not refused, actually. He was actually preparing to vacate the room, and so he had made preparations.
I understand that he had packed
He was packing. He nearly was done, and so I do not understand.
The man claims, because yesterday we covered this story on Joy News Today.
Yeah.
The midday bulletin I host, which is live also on Joy Prime, and he said that it was in self-defense.
What?
But the reports say he went to the house in a bulletproof vest with 2 rifles. 2.
Yeah, going for war? 2?
Wow. That's shock. And the neighbors say they heard 4 gunshots in quick succession. So I don't know if the tenant who ended up being the victim also had a gun or was also armed, but there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. I think the police must do some digging in there.
Definitely will. Well, the name of the victim is Benjamin Orchery, and I understand that he was a musician. Yeah. He had some music out there, sadly. Now, still in front of the Daily Graphic, Zim Line disinfected naval commands, and this is on page 37. Now, the middle page is also still on the matter of fighting COVID-19. Wear mask and maintain social distance. Now, there's been a big question. CNN and BBC reporting and asking that supposedly oldest profession, sex workers, how can they also observe certain protocols, still making money, especially in this social distancing?
In Scotland, they are being given 60 million.
Wow. Well, Scotland.
As support.
Oh, wow.
Because you can't do the deed and maintain social
Does
distancing.
it mean that it's legal in Scotland?
So they are losing money. So
sadly.
It's quite the world we live in.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. It's funny how sex work has been normalized in so many parts of the world, especially on the internet. But because you are speaking in Ghana, in Accra, you hear it like,
there's something else.
Yeah, but that's the world we live in, bro.
Yeah, well, anyway, let's move on. The Ghanaian Times as well, front page, same story. Landlord arrested for killing the tenants. Now, brace up for economic setbacks, says population expert, as he urges businesses and also the Eastern Western Naval Command centers benefit from Zoom Lions disinfection exercise. In the middle page, quick follow-up to that story. So, in the Ghanaian Times, well, Ghana's COVID-19 cases also hit 6,808 so far. These are the major headlines in the Ghanaian Times.
The Chronicle newspaper has that story that's on the front page of the Finder. Akufo-Addo hints of roadmap to ease restrictions. That's President Akufo-Addo wearing his smock there, addressing the virtual Eid al-Fitr celebrations. Nowadays, everything is virtual, Charlie. The weddings are e-weddings. I've actually received a Facebook link to join someone's funeral. Someone's father. Yeah, a friend's father's funeral. Yeah, in fact,
truly not in ordinary times.
Let me say good morning to Dr. Kojo Asante of the Center for Democracy.
Something.
CDD Ghana.
He understands you.
Yeah. Hey, Charlie, why have I forgotten this thing? Center for Democratic Development Ghana. Yeah, CDD Ghana. Dr. Kojo Asante. He's lost his father on Center for Democratic Development. Thank you, Mr. Man in my ear. So everything is happening online now. President Akufo-Addo has hinted that this weekend we may be easing some restrictions, which is, it informs really the conversation we're going to have today on the Virtual Policy Forum. If we are to ease restrictions on schools, how can we do it and do it effectively?
BBC Life Clinic is your weekly guide to wellness. We shine a light on health taboos impacting ordinary people around the continent to start the conversation and normalize these issues, covering multiple aspects of health from food, lifestyle and exercise to more serious topics like mental and sexual health. So, if you're curious about health problems that
Life Clinic, showing every Wednesday at 3 p.m. only on Joy Prime.
Joy Prime, real entertainment.
Something is coming.
Yes.
To happen.
I bought me so.
Do you know something we call forgets?
Yes, please. Have you ever had
Your Honor, is he asking questions or is he preaching? What is the meaning of this?
I really, really love my husband.
Isn't that lovely, man? The timetable is it 212 or 313? Oh, don't do. If you do that, my techie will rise right now.
Sentinel! Sentinel!
I see.
Counsel, Your Honor,
What's the color of your jacket?
Kejetia versus Mokola, showing Monday to Friday
Sebastian.
at 2:30 p.m.
Joy Prime, real entertainment.
Rang Rasiya, an epic tale set on the border of the country. Rudra, an officer in the Border Protection Force. A man who has lost all faith in love. Paro, an orphan who
immune person, you will get well without necessarily needing any treatment, which is the definition he gave. Now, there are some experts who agree with him, I must say.
Yeah.
And we'll be dealing with this story a bit later in the week. But it's on the front page of the Daily Statesman, except that Daily Statesman, you didn't acknowledge that it happened on Prime Morning. You said in a television discussion. A television station and discussion has a name.
Claim it.
Yeah, Zongos are dear to NPP. That's also on the front page of Daily Statesman. Ekufadu reiterates determination to transform over 5 million lives. And Hajia Abibata debunks vote-buying claims against her by her detractors.
Wow. All right,
So
so
that's it
quickly,
for the front page
quickly,
of
the
the
News
Daily
Crusading
Statesman.
Guide is reporting that NPP will win 2020 elections, and there's a beautiful photo of the Vice President here with records. I'm sure this is just to counter the fact that NDC is thinking that they're trying to rig the elections, and Vice President is reminding you that they've got huge and nice and impressive records
So I'll
on
tell
which
you
they're
something.
hoping. Yeah.
The New Crusading Guide did what the Daily Statesman did not do.
Okay.
The New Crusading Guide mentioned that he was speaking on the Super Morning Show
Okay.
with my brother Winston Amma on Joy FM,
Okay.
which was an exclusive interview he granted them yesterday. So, good morning, New Crusading Guide.
And thanks
You
for
know
that
what? I
acknowledgement,
really
yeah.
enjoyed the interview with Mama V yesterday with Kennedy.
Kennedy Japan.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
Okinejo. It was fire. It was Kikim.
I enjoyed another big one. The big one that the New Crusading Guide is reporting is plots to smear NEIP boards exposed as attempts to plant fake media reports backfire. And this is because the middleman who was hired to do the job contacted the party, I should say. I hear that is a political party that was trying to report fake story about the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, and his name is the boss of it, and lawyer John Kuma. But it's backfired. You want to get details of this story on the page 3 of the New Crusading Guide. That's just about it for me also, the New Crusading Guide. Yeah.
All right, so it's a wrap this morning on our news flash, but more on Beyond the Headlines with Daniel coming up shortly. But right now, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we have Prime Sports as well as what's trending. All this and more right here on the show.
Mira, what did you dear? Mary CB men's capsules. And you may use Madarma, Bohobio, CB men's capsules by dear. What 2 points?
I don't know. They are very good. Say them a damn I'm sorry and to intent them using it. It's a minute so we are Arabia house to credit you.
Say to say my yes, you dear CB women's capsules. A year if it's a money won't fee and so.
Hey! CB women's capsules with the Ajo.
Also CB men's capsules, Ajo.
Susiana.
Ghana man Merman Damase.
Our pharmacy, chemical, ne herbal shops ni name. Et to phone fresh Susie Herbal Center 0247 111671 and 0246 578750. CB Men and Women Capsules.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Let's show the world how good we are with our essays. Joy Learning Essay Club on Facebook offers junior high and senior high students an excellent opportunity to show the world how well they can write. In only 200 words, write on the topic for the month. How can Ghana make e-learning accessible to all? Your essay must have your name, your age, a contact number, and your school. Send us a direct message of your essay to Facebook at Joy Learning TV. Yes, on our Facebook page. Win the loudest applause from us and become an ambassador for Joy Learning. Remember, the deadline is Monday, 25th May 2020. Essay Club is brought to you by Joy Learning. Joy Learning. Keep learning.
Life sometimes presents us with unexpected situations. Like in the event of a fire outbreak, it takes less than 20 minutes to move from this to this. Timing is everything. Dialing 112 in the event of an emergency gives you direct access to the Ghana National Fire Service with a guarantee of the fastest response time. And now with the National Digital Property Addressing System, be rest assured that we can locate you directly at your point of call. So never hesitate to call in the event of a fire emergency. Dial 112. 112, help will come. 112, we are safe. Avoid prank calling as it can lead to loss of life of persons in actual need of help.
No one, no training, no amount of preparation can get any professional ready for this kind of pandemic.
We feel safe because you know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
I want to say thank you to the first responders and the ambulance crew rushing to situations unknown.
The call center operatives who stay on the other end of the phone lines 24/7. Thank you.
To cleaners at the hospitals and in isolation centers. Today, your job is more dangerous than ever. Thank you, Akbenami.
We feel safe because we know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. You are still watching Prime Morning. My name is Jay Foley. Now time for us to do what's trending. Let's find out what is actually trending this morning. Now, we can't be under COVID-19 restrictions forever, says the President Akufo-Addo. Now, he said that government is developing a roadmap to ease some of the COVID-19 restrictions in the country. Now, according to him, Ghanaians need to get back to their normal lives. Now, hence the need to relax some of the restrictions.
Hygiene and social distance protocols to contain the spread of the virus. They are the surest way to a quick return to a life of normalcy. Stakeholder consultations are taking place on the way forward towards the easing of restrictions so that our social and economic lives can go back to normal. I expect these consultations to conclude this week, so that I can announce to Ghanaians a clear roadmap for easing the restrictions. We have to find a way back, but in safety. We cannot be under these restrictions forever.
Of course, the kids have to get back to school and lives must get back to normal as well as we open the borders, because people are stuck outside the country and I know they can't just wait to get back in here, including the likes of Sarkodie and even Kwao. And later on, I'll give you a story on Kwao and what he's saying if the government doesn't open the borders for them to fly back into the country. Before that, though, Sadiq Abdullahi, the CEO of 3 Music Awards, and his wife joined us yesterday on the show, and they held a very special feast with the team in here as well to celebrate Eid al-Fitr. Here are just some excerpts we have for you.
Not now on this table. It's just
Yeah,
three
just
of us.
there.
Okay?
3 of us.
All right.
We are deeply sorry for what we are about to do.
You know the shortest prayer that we used to have in school?
Sadiq Day has eaten.
So we used to say, for what you're about to,
So
yes,
Thank you.
we thank you, O Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
That's what I said.
So there was a time that, there was a time that back in school we actually...
Somebody say blessed.
Yeah, okay. All right. So,
anytime you are taking these drinks, make sure you shake them.
Okay.
Yeah, shake it.
Yeah.
So please, don't forget Kubra Diamond's Kitchen. Thank you very much.
And they can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Kubra Diamond.
Kubra Diamond.
Yes,
That's
I
write
K-U-B-U-R-A-H.
Yes, Diamonds.
I now see where Sadiq has been getting the writing inspiration.
Got a whole lot no, I actually get my inspiration from him.
Wow.
His mom tells me I get it from him.
Okay,
that's why he said that he's going home quickly. He has to leave. It's not anything you're meeting Sadiq is not hurrying. This is the reason.
I am not going in.
So yes, let me not see you on TV. So you know TV, you eat something. Yeah, when the camera is on,
okay.
Yeah, TV, you are civil. You know, you
are not.
You act like, oh, you just want,
just a light dash.
Look at the way Shira is looking at you from behind the camera. If I could
Shira, please join us. I think it's only fair that
no, social distancing.
No, but he did speak about chicken, so I think he can be the first to help us.
To
taste the chicken.
And
tell us if it is from Ghana or it was imported.
It is vitamin C chicken. Okay, so guys, on that note, we'll say thank you very much for joining us. Another episode of Prime Morning. You're invited to our feast, but we all know you can't eat. You're at home.
Yeah.
Well, watching that video without sound, I'm sure you think a bunch of very extremely rich and wealthy people standing there having a little discussion over food, right? Well, yes, we'll definitely get there. Anyways, so thank you very much to Kubra Diamond as well as Sadiq for joining us on the show yesterday for that amazing celebration we had in the studio with everyone in here. Let's move on to our next story. So Kwao, yes, I told you he's in the news, and he's contemplating on seeking asylum in the United States, where he's currently stuck due to the closure of the country's borders and airports as part of measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, he made this known on Twitter, where he wrote, and I quote, he says, "I'm going to seek asylum by the end of the month if Ghana government doesn't come and take me from here." Well, he's not the only person who's stuck outside as well. Sarkodie, who's also stuck in the US. Well, guess what? He was involved in a performance hosted by the Africa Union. Now, Sarkodie was one of many African artists who performed on the Africa Day concert for COVID-19 Response Fund. Now, Sarkodie performed his song Anajo featuring King Promise, and Painkiller also featuring Runtown, and also delivered a message. Now, other artists including the likes of Two-Face, Tufan, and many others. Here's a video of the performance we have for you.
What's up, beautiful people? My name is Sarkodie from Ghana. Big shouts to Afrima. Shouts to Trace TV. Today's Africa Day. What else? Me candlelights, yes. So straight to action. To a woman mouth satisfaction. What else? Baby. Now. One time. You know what time it is. Open the palm, baby.
Alright guys, you know we're in a serious time. Stay home, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and we're gonna be safe, trust me. You know what time it is. Say that feeling in your medeno. Now we nyame ho abotreno. Sankwala de da my yanko dem when I've been to odo ho nyum beja with him senior me ye no. Nsuo mu na with him de ba besie. Wo yo hema antenye fata wonnie. Medeka wa hye wodie wonyame ama ho kwan. Say ye benya yakono ho fa hodie. Mediko mu nsuo edu ahomache ase bi mame. Yes I wa ha me. Eda me dofo beja me nsuo be fa me. Nyame ba be ye no me say efiefu oni nyina.
What happens? One of our finest African rappers as well. Big shouts going on to Sako. They're performing at the Africa Union concert, which was organized recently. Now, talking more concerts on the show this morning. So, Stonebwoy and Manifest are set to join a lineup of African music stars to perform at an online concert hosted by Hollywood actor Idris Elba. Now, tagged the African Day Benefit Concert at Home. Well, the concert is being held to celebrate the African Union Day and also help raise funds and that have, for those who have been impacted by the COVID-19. Now, other performing acts include Burna Boy, Adekunle Gold, Niniola, Tiwa Savage, Tenny, Yemi Alade, Angelique Kidjo, and many, many more. Here's something for you to watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the BET Award winner, Best International Act, Ghana's very own Stonebwoy.
Greetings, world. I go by the name Stonebwoy from Ghana. And this song is called Strength and Hope. In these corona times, we need a lot of strength and a lot of hope, but we can only get it from the King of Kings, the creator of the universe, God Almighty. So I sing this song to give you strength and give you hope in these corona times. Bless up.
All right, so that's all we have for you this morning. But let me just run over to Fifi real quickly. Fifi, what do you make of all these online concerts? Is it still the same feeling we have as in standing in the auditorium, screaming our lungs out and shouting our favorite artist's name and singing along to those beautiful tunes?
I think the effect is withering. That's how I see it. I remember when they did a COVID concert for the app. Yeah. That the government launched. That was really good because it was the first. Yeah. Then there was a second and a third, and now it's just bored, like, right? Everyone wants the actual feel of a concert. So
but let me ask you, and that's what Daniel will be discussing this morning on the show. If, we're getting back to normal lives, as the president says, ease on restrictions, would you attend a concert if you had a ticket?
Before COVID?
Yes.
I'd never attended a concert.
2,000 people packed in the auditorium.
I don't think I would. If I didn't do it when it was free, I don't think I'll be able to do it now.
Well, anyway, truly we are not in ordinary times, but that's a wrap this morning for me on What's Trending. Leaving you with this funny video, and afterwards Prime Sports takes over.
You think say they wise? You did there when God be creating.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for joining us for the sport right here on Prime Morning. My name is Fifi Anama. Now, if you were to attend a talk and the theme was leadership, who do you think the resource person would be? Well, how about Stephen Appiah, who was on Saturday on Joy Sports Link speaking on leadership, sharing some tips as well. Have a look.
Well, mentorship, I think one is empathy. Empathy simply means putting yourself in people's shoes so that you can feel what they feel. When you do that, you will always take decisions that help and not hurt them.
Yeah.
I think number two is communication.
Okay.
The people you are dealing with are human beings.
Yeah.
They are not animals. Talk to them, hear their side of the story. Always consider them before making decisions. And number three, I think, is courage. Not every decision you will take as a leader will be popular. You take certain decisions and some people won't agree with you. But if you really believe it is the right thing, you have to be bold and go ahead to take that decision. So it's courage. And number 4, never stop learning. Never stop learning. In life, I've learned that what you knew yesterday may no more be relevant today. So leaders must always invest in educating themselves all the time. And number five is humility. No matter how high you are, you must still remain a servant as a leader. It is only when you serve that you can be a good leader. As I stated earlier on, I mean, some of us, we serve. We used to wash clothes. We used to wash people's football shoes. So
that's how profound was that. So Stephen Appiah sharing his leadership tips. Let's go over it again. He said empathy, communication, courage, never stop learning, as well as humility. Now, still staying on Stephen Appiah, he says that in 2010, when Kwesi Appiah was still the assistant coach for the Black Stars under Milovan Rajevac, he told him that he would one day become the head coach.
It went well. I remember 2010 when we played against, was he against Germany? No, yeah, one of the matches. So, I mean, we were going in the bus, and then I told Coach that, he was so happy after the game. So I told Coach that, don't worry, in the future, I mean, you'll be the coach of the Black Stars, and I know that you'll do well. And then it was like, okay, don't worry. If I become the coach, you'll be part of, the technical team.
I see.
And it came to pass. It came to pass not because.
So when is Kwesi Appiah going to be paid? Finally, well, we don't know it yet, but the sports ministry says that it is engaging the former coach of the Black Stars.
A sponsorship package that goes to the FA. However, the sponsorship package is channeled through the ministry. And therefore, as part of that, coaches are paid from that. Money expended on national teams are paid from these sponsorship monies. In certain cases, when the sponsorship money is not enough to pay for national teams and all of that, government actually pays for these things. The case has been the case that before the termination of the contract of Mr. Kwesi Appiah, there have been some arrears, and those arrears have arisen due to certain issues that have come up in the last couple of months. I know that the ministry is in talks with.
Right, so that was Perry Okujeto, the Honorable Perry Okujeto, the Deputy Minister for Sport. Now, still staying on him, he says that sport is not included in the government's stimulus package for small and medium-scale enterprises.
The stimulus package we know is for small-scale SMEs, you know. Football or sports is not included in the package that is being rolled out as we speak. But like I said before, discussions are ongoing. We have received proposals from the various federations on the state of their federations and the sort of help that they may require moving forward. And like I said, we're considering, you know, the proposals, and at the appropriate time, when a decision is taken on what particular proposals or what.
Let's talk about Dr. Prince Pambo, who is a part of CAF's medical committee. He says that players, after contracting the coronavirus, stand a higher risk of getting a cardiac arrest.
What to do that, what we have proposed from the point of CAF is that you have to do what we call a comprehensive pre-competition medical assessment. Mind you, these players have been out of sport for over 2 months. And you see, this is not even a normal break. And Oliver will tell you, when the players come home from major seasons and are home, I mean, they have time to go to the gyms, they have time to play some games, they train here and there. So by the time the league even wants to start, they go for a 2 weeks preseason and they are on. But in this particular instance, they are home and they are home. The players are not able to train well, they are not able to do anything. And research, scientific research has come out to prove and confirm that when players, any player who has contracted COVID-19 and gotten treated, that player stands a higher risk of suffering a cardiac arrest.
We'll still stay on Dr. Prince Pambo, who is indeed a former member of the GFA's medical committee. He says that CAF's medical committee has advised all associations across the continent to cancel all their league seasons.
What we have done is we advise CAF ESCO to cancel all CAF tournaments, be it the CHAN, which was supposed to be played, and the various CAF Champions League matches and Confederation matches. Again, we have put together a document which very soon will be circulated to member associations. So depending on what the situation on the ground will allow you to do, depending on what...
So Dr. Prince Pambo as well as the Honorable Perry Okujeto were both speaking on Beyond the Headline, which is a show on Joy News every Sunday night from 7:30. Let's talk about Asamoah on another interview on Multimedia. He has been speaking on how he wants to be ushered out of the Black Stars.
People leave the national team with pain. There are a lot of players I can testify. I don't want to mention names, but for me, I'm just there making sure say if they decide to give me a farewell, definitely my soul will be happy. So definitely although people appreciate me, say me or people appreciate me, but it be depending on how they want to do it. Maybe the team decided say I'll play a testimonial game. GF decided say they will do something for me. Maybe I'll play a game or something. It will depend on them. And secondly, it will depend on me. Send them in so but I'm still in the game, but as time goes on.
So let's do our final story before we sign out of sport right here. Now, 41 deaths in the UK as far as coronavirus is concerned have been traced back to that Champions League game between Liverpool and Atletico Madrid. Data from the UK's National Health Service, according to an analysis by Edge Health, shows that 41 more deaths were recorded about a month after the encounter. The game was the last major match in England before the pandemic forced the country into lockdown. The Daily Mail reports that 52,000 people watched the match inside Anfield on March the 11th, with about 3,000 Atletico supporters in the crowd from Spain. Of course, while about 640,000 confirmed cases of the disease has been reported in Spain at the time, businesses and public spaces in the country had been closed as a result. Madrid's mayor, Jose Luis Martinez Almeida, said in April that allowing Atletico's fans to travel to England for the match and allowing the game to continue was indeed a mistake. Thank you very much for joining us for sport this morning on Prime Morning. We'll take a quick breather, and when we come back, Inshira Ado, the Rainmaker, will be joining us for some business talk.
Bake it! It's original, you gotta take it. Macberry, bake with love. Macberry, original. Macberry, see we love it, everybody love it. Mama and papa, them love it. Macberry be the biscuit, be the picking them secret. Macberry be the biscuit, and they give everybody when they visit me. Macberry, originally baked with love. Macberry, bake with love. Macberry, originally baked with love.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Introducing Cerelac Biscuity, the new baby cereal from Cerelac, with a great new biscuity taste that babies absolutely love. And of course, it's fortified with iron to support babies' healthy growth, just like all the other nutritious Cerelac flavors. Cerelac, big nutrition for small tummies.
Unlock banking with biometrics. Now, you can access the ABSA mobile banking app using your fingerprint or facial recognition. Download today. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
To all our emergency doctors, you never know who is walking through those doors, but you tend to everybody without fear.
The staff of the Gucci, Kolebu, KCCR, and all other testing centers. Where would we be without you?
We know some of you have been badly affected by this virus, yet you defy the fear of the unknown to fight against this virus on our behalf.
You have been awesome in these trying times. You put your lives on the line every day.
We feel safe because we know you are there. We really do appreciate you all. And what we can say at this moment is thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Akbenalo. That's all we can say.
Welcome back to Prime Morning, and it's time for business with me and Shira Ado. And the COVID-19 pandemic has definitely turned the world upside down, and the cost is still being counted right here in Ghana. There is a potential revenue shortfall because of the slowdown of the economy. My colleague George Riafi caught up with the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Reverend Amishadai Oswansa. Let's take a quick look at what transpired.
The year started quite well. January, February, we are all on target, but from March, April, the revenues have started going down, and therefore we need to strategize to see how we can find ways of meeting some of the revenue. So some of the areas that you expect to see some falls, as I hinted earlier on, will be areas like the excise duties, because the importation of things like alcohol, the manufacturing of things like alcohol, and then the drinks, the water. You know, even for water, even though we all drink water, you will agree with me that you drink more water if you are going for social functions.
Yeah.
So this is an area that will be affected. Revenues of these areas are also going to be affected, and therefore we expect some decline. We know that some of the schools have closed down, and therefore they're also going to be affected. So definitely revenue is affected, but we need to also look at the areas that are not affected and see how they can also make sure that they are paying their
see that the whole would be.
And as you did hear the Commissioner General, we are expecting a certain level of revenue shortfall. And that's simply because businesses aren't working. Schools are closed, hotels are closed. When the cycle of an economy slows down, money will be hard to come by, which means that revenue will not be at its optimum. Now, if you'd recall, before the advent of money, as we know it, the world traded in goods and we bartered. Now, let's assume that this is the amount of money that we require yearly to ensure that the government provides the environment for you and I to live a pretty good life. So your roads, electricity, paying civil servants, all of that is required. This is what is required at the end of the year. Now, because of COVID-19, we have a situation where not a lot of grain is coming into the storehouse because not a lot of businesses are in business enough to pay taxes. People have been laid off work, which means that their PAYE taxes are not being paid. You also have a knock-on effect on excise duty. If people aren't importing enough, we're not making enough money to pay the taxes. What that means is that we are going to have a shortfall in our revenue. That will have a knock-on effect on how we do a lot of the things. This year is the year of roads. Now, we will definitely have a certain level of shortfall. So instead of having this, we're going to end up with something round about this. The question is, will this gap be too damaging to the economy? Will we be able to bridge that gap? Do we have to go and borrow to be able to meet the difference and ensure that government is able to meet its own obligations through the expenditure that it normally would do in a year? This has been Business. We'll be bringing you more later on the show. Stay with us for Prime Morning.
January, February, we are all on target, but from March, April, the revenues have started going down, and therefore we need to strategize to see how we can find ways of meeting some of the revenue. So some of the areas that you expect to see some falls, as I hinted earlier on, will be areas like the excise duties, because the importation of things like alcohol, the manufacturing of things like alcohol, and then the drinks, the water. You know, even for water, even though we all drink water, you will agree with me that you drink more water if you are going for social functions.
Yeah.
So this is the areas that will be affected. Revenues of these areas are also going to be affected, and therefore we expect some decline. We know that some of the schools have closed down, and therefore they're also going to be affected. So definitely revenue is affected, but we need to also look at the areas that are not affected and see how they can also make sure that they are paying their rent.
Whenever Princess starts, the neighbors do complain that her voice and the beats are too loud. Who is scared of the voices of tomorrow's superstars?
You special in your way.
It's me, like no other.
No one can do it like you.
It's me.
Must be a neighbor.
You special in your way.
It's me, like no other.
No one like you.
It's me, like no other.
Here's to all amazing moms who identify and nurture the uniqueness in our kids.
Indomie instant noodles tastes great. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
For I should mail see a dollar adiz and Yamikanote why yet to Mudaya pay for hot box the old pie no any quality syndicated capital of multi TV any idea to more a year quality papa box back the whole gun and yet to trade and yet scratches be any box more and technique box more chairman and one quality TV kill the bottom with multi TV boost your business with multi-TV, multi-TV, multi-TV for free. Have some fun with multi-TV. Kill the bottom with multi-TV. Boost your business with multi-TV, multi-TV, multi-TV for free. Multi-TV, multi-TV for free.
No training, no amount of preparation can get any professional ready for this kind of pandemic.
We feel safe because you know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
I want to say thank you to the first responders and the ambulance crew rushing to situations unknown.
The call center operatives who stay on the other end of the phone lines 24/7. Thank you.
to cleaners at the hospitals and in isolation centers. Today, your job is more dangerous than ever. Thank you, Akbenami.
We feel safe because we know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joy Prime, Hits FM, and the Multimedia Group Limited says thank you. Ayeko Yeda Masani Mojuma Pa Amoye Frontliners Yamawanamo, we say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. Yamawanamo, we say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. Money on, money on, money that you want, money on, money on, money on. We're saying thank you, money on, money on, money on, money that you want, money on. Money on, we're saying thank you. Hey, to our nurses and doctors, we're saying thank you. Military officials, we're saying thank you. Our policemen, we're saying thank you for standing on the front line through this pandemic. Hey, money on. We're saying thank you, our drivers and our farmers, our market women. We're seeing what you're doing. Are you go? Ambulance services, money yo. Our gratitude is a constant reminder to all of those who are making a difference to change the world, a difference to heal the land, a difference to give us lives, and a difference to hold the line. Yeah. Money on, we're saying thank you. Money on. We say thank you to our media in Ghana, other health workers, sanitation workers, researchers, and everyone holding the line for a better Ghana. Frontliners, we say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. We say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. Money that you are
To all our emergency doctors, you never know who is walking through those doors, but you tend to everybody without fear.
The staff of the Gucci, Kolebu, KCCR, and all other testing centers. Where would we be without you?
We know some of you have been badly affected by this virus, yet you defy the fear of the unknown to fight against this virus on our behalf.
You have been awesome in these trying times. You put your lives on the line every day.
We feel safe because we know you are there. We really do appreciate you all. And what we can say at this moment is thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Akbenalo, that's all we can say.
No training, no amount of preparation can get any professional ready for this kind of pandemic.
We feel safe because you know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
I want to say thank you to the first responders and the ambulance crew rushing to situations unknown.
The call center operatives who stay on the other end of the phone lines 24/7. Thank you.
To cleaners at the hospitals and in isolation centers. Today, your job is more dangerous than ever. Thank you at Benami.
We feel safe because we know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Still live on Prime Morning. Today on Beyond the Headlines, we are going to have a special 90-minute conversation focused on education. We call it our virtual policy forum. Of course, we are going to have a conference where we bring together the best and brightest minds in education to discuss the most important subject of what it will take to reopen schools. Thankfully, one of our guests is with us in studio, and she is a former Minister for Education, former Vice Chancellor for UCC, the first female Vice Chancellor of a public university in this country, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Prof, thanks for joining us.
You're most welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Our second guest so far has joined us digitally via Zoom. He's Nana Kofi Kwachi. He is an adjunct assistant professor at the School of Global Public Health at New York University. Nana Kofi, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Morning, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's begin with you, Prof. You've been dealing with the business of managing education policy across the country for 4 years. You know, I'm sure it was an uphill task, but did we ever envision something like this happening? Could there ever been a contingency for something like COVID-19?
Of course, none of us ever thought of COVID-19. We didn't think that our country would ever be locked down. We didn't think we wearing face masks and all of that. So the above have really taken us by surprise. However, if you look at education, you will see that we've had pockets of instances that we should have been working on, maybe a little bit more than we have. Every so often in this country, we hear of a curfew. And some of us in education will wonder, so what happens to the children in this area when there's a curfew? Sometimes there's a conflict. Other times it's a flood, or there's famine, or there's something that impedes the usual normal from unfolding itself. So in education, we have wondered for a long time, what happens during this moment? Apart from that also, that is not an emergency, but we also know that many of our learners learn via distance. Yeah. How do they do it? Yeah. Who is interested in these people? We know, for example, that if you study the results of BCE, if you study the results of WASI, you'll notice there's a trend. And the trend is that our young learners have difficulty in certain subjects. And that explains why in nearly every corner you have remedial classes and so on. So we did a study at the ministry and we found the subjects that were bothering the children.
Okay.
Science, math, some of them do these subjects, though they repeat them so often that even after a time they give up. And then they are not able to move up according to their dreams because there's a certain subject stopping them.
Okay.
So we needed to find out, how do we reach these people? How do we ensure? You can also look at that as a kind of emergency, especially when you look at the numbers involved.
Right.
So
emergency situations have existed, just not at this scale.
They have existed, and some interventions have been put in place. I'll tell you what we did at the ministry, and all we need to do is to scale it up. You see, insofar as something is not affecting everybody, you shouldn't assume that it is affecting nobody.
Prof, let's welcome our other guests in this forum. We've been joined by Anis Hafa, Patrick Ewa, founder and president of Ashesi University, and also Dr. Amanda Odoy as well. Good morning, lady and gentlemen.
morning. How are you?
I'm blessed, Mr. Hafa. So let me go straight to Nana Kofi Kwache, who joined us earlier. From the public health perspective, do you think that there is a possible way to reopen schools safely, or you're of the opinion that it's just not tenable?
Again, good morning to you, Daniel. Good morning to your viewers, and thanks for having me. On the question of what's possible, that really is a function of our capacity to deal with the public health consequences of going back to full reopenings and mass gatherings like in schools. There are a couple of things that we need to make sure are in place for that to really be tenable. And many of those things, yes, some of them actually have to do with what we as individuals do, what the kids are able to do while they're in school. That's primary and secondary. What the students at university level are able to do in terms of personal protective measures. But there's also things that we need to make sure are in place at a systems-wide level that make it so that we can identify potential outbreaks early, deal with them in a really comprehensive manner, reduce the risk of spread, and out of that, make sure that the risk of having long repeated breaks in the year don't happen. Those sorts of things you have to think about. So in doing that, primarily, we have to look at the question of physical protection. So we're talking about making sure that there's sufficient hygiene facilities in all the different schools. We need to make sure that we have effective class size management protocols, and we need to make sure that we can do proper behavioral adjustments.
Right.
For those things to work, we need to have in place, again, all the physical logistics required for physical protection. So if schools don't have running water, then they must have Victoria buckets. They should have hand sanitizers. The teacher should have face masks and shows the students as much as we can. We need to make sure that there's personnel available to actually implement a lot of these class size management protocols.
Okay.
Because what it will mean in a lot of the cases is that we have to have more faculty, more staff teaching over a much broader time. For example, in New South Wales in Australia, where what they're doing is basically having students come in once a day on a stagger. So you have students coming in even on the weekends. That requires additional personnel. And then obviously, ultimately, the implementation capacity throughout the system. So if we say we are reopening, is the capacity to follow these physical protection and behavioral adjustment procedures the same in Accra as it is in Kumasi, as it is in Tamale, as it is in Wa?
Right.
And if that's not the case, what are we doing to make sure that we can bridge those inequalities?
Right, Nana, very well said there. I'll go straight to Patrick Ewa, who, in introducing you on one of the shows to promote this yesterday, Patrick, I mentioned that in Ashesi University, you sort of foresaw what was going to happen in education space, and you closed down the school and you switched to virtual lessons. The challenge that we have is that it's very difficult to implement a horizontal policy in Ghana. There's so much inequality in the country. How do we stand at one point and find a median where we can have something that can apply in Kukrentumi, in Elembele, and here in Accra?
Well, as you said, it's a very difficult situation, and I can tell you that at Ashesi, we identified, let's say broadly, three categories of students, three groups of students. So there are students whose families have easy access to the internet, who have laptops, who can afford data rates and so on. That's one group. There's a group that live in an area where they have access to data, but they can't afford it, or they don't have a laptop. And then there's a group that live in an area that does not even have data connectivity. So what we did was we provided for the first two groups. So the group that had data access but couldn't afford, we purchased data bundles for them. We gave students laptops. We loaned them university laptops so they could go home and be able to connect. Now that third group that doesn't have access, what we can do for them is make sure that when we return to campus, to normal operations, they have the opportunity to complete their courses. And so they may graduate a little later than their peers, but we've made sure that we have that in place, that even though courses are running online, we're going to make sure that those same courses will be available when students return to campus. We've also sort of understood that access to the internet is sometimes intermittent. right? So you may have data today, you may have electricity problems or whatever. And so even though the courses are happening live synchronously online, we also record all the courses. So students who are not able to connect at a particular point in time can get access to those recorded lectures later. So this is what we've done. Now, applying this horizontally is very difficult. I mean, that third group that doesn't even have data access, that's a function of the telephone companies getting connectivity throughout the country. That is driven by sort of their economic strategies. Students who don't have equipment, they don't have laptops or tablets and so on, those have to be provided. And then there's a question of cost of how you connect to all of this resource.
Okay. Great, thank you very much. Now, one of Anis Hafa's most popular stories is teaching in a school called Tutuka, where in spite of the fact that there was a lot of limitation financially and economically, you were able to raise these children to respect themselves and their society. A lot of what we need to do is, it involves behavioral change. Mr. Hafa, how do we address the teachers? How do we address the students so that they can understand that this is an environment we need to be in?
You know, that's a very good question. I'm glad you brought the element of Tutuka, because that's why I started class 1. Those days, you know, you start class on about age of 7 or 8, but it was more or less, the school was more or less a community project. It was built by the Catholic Church with the effort of the people in the community in Kwabrafoso. But the issue was this: the first thing that we got to understand that this is a school that is an oasis of excellence for us, because a lot of us lived in mud houses. The only acceptable place where we could have some dignity, so to speak, was at the school site. So what we had to do was to make sure that we grew flowers around the school, that we supported the school in terms of even fundraising, cracking nuts, going to the bushes to cut bamboo so that we can surround our schools with flowers so that goats will not eat them. What we learned in that space was that how we preserve our own dignity is very important. And nobody's going to do it for us, but for the kids themselves. So these days, you know, I go into some of these public schools, and it's like people are so aloof from the head all the way to the students. And you ask yourself, isn't this a place where you want to have pride of ownership? So these are the bigger questions. But again, it started I'm talking about 1950s. How we lost that somewhere along the line is the issue. We're very concerned that the school was beautiful. We're very concerned that the rooms were neat, you know. So going forward, this is how I think every public school in this country, especially the public schools, you know, the private schools tend to manage because it's an economic business. But what we have to begin to understand now is that every school in this country, every public school in this country has to be an oasis of excellence.
Okay.
And by that is what I mean. We need to have a toilet facility where young people can ease themselves and have toilet paper. We need to have water. You know, there has to be some kind of hygienic condition that's amenable for quality learning. The other thing I want to say is this: when I was in the School of Education in California, two of the most important factors besides the cognitive abilities is this: are we safe? That's number one. Are we safe?
Okay.
Is the environment healthy? This is why we have to begin to incorporate it into our school system, because this is the year 2020. And what this pandemic has shown is that cleanliness is next to godliness. And this is where we have to begin to, in fact, there's a revolution that has started. There's an inflection point. And whether we like it or not, we are in it.
Okay. Mr. Hafa, very thought-provoking points there. There's a revolution and then we're in it. If you noticed on your screen, Professor Stephen Adair has joined us. But before I go to Prof, let me quickly bring in Dr. Amanda Odoi, because Doc, you are a fellow at the Center for Gender Research, at Advocacy and Documentation, and already some would argue that our system has been skewed against women and girls for a very long time. We are entering a system where we need to see better sanitation, we need to see more empowerment, we need to have people more knowledgeable about the system that we're in. Do you think that it's time for us to have a sort of a more advanced program for women and girls, or this pandemic is truly a leveler in the gender space as well?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's very true that gender issues have come out very clearly in times of COVID, especially accessing education for girls. And whilst they are home, the various gender roles that these girls are playing is affecting their ability to learn and all that. But most importantly, I've always thought that it wasn't necessary for women to go to school. So a lot of women, a lot of mothers that we have currently may not have any formal education background. And in these times, they are the ones that are the caretakers of the home. They are the ones that are supposed to assist those children in times of learning. And we are going digital. A number of women, research shows that when it comes to ICT and gender, there's a huge gap between women and men. And these are the women that are supposed to assist these children. What is their understanding? What's their level of knowledge? What's their ability to manipulate those gadgets that we want them to access now?
Okay.
Some have not even held smartphones before. Some have not even accessed any social media or internet facility before. So how do we get these women to be able to support and give the necessary care that they have to give these children at home, to be able to enhance their education online and all that?
How?
And so gender has been very important that we need to pay attention to. What have we been doing to women all this while? How have we left them out, such that in future when things like this come up, we will be able to be aware that, okay, these women can take care of the children, they can access these facilities very well and take care of the home and their children and their education. Because most of the time, assisting children with assignments and all that has been women, but they have been more face-to-face.
Okay.
Now we have to move to another platform where they do not have the access to such facilities or knowledgeable about these facilities.
Dr. Odoi, thank you so much. Prof. Ade is an economist and an expert on development. And whenever we have these conversations, you and I, Prof, it comes down to money, doesn't it? I've heard ideas like improved sanitation, improved infrastructure like toilets, empowering people with education like women. You are also board chair of GRA. You know that we are cash strapped. How do we finance an effective reopening of schools?
Well,
Prof.
Yes.
Yes, we are talking about how to finance a plan like this. Generally, this would involve money. Are there some creative ways, for instance, that we can look at putting together the resources we need to provide the facilities that are required?
Well, it is said that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. So we are doing everything, and we cannot leave education out. It's a question of the government has normal budget, of course, reduced under the COVID circumstances for education, but that is still there. I think that just this morning, the Charles president, who is the headmaster from I think Ahmadiya Kumasi, has made some wonderful suggestions, and I want to congratulate him for that, as to what needs to be put in place before the students come, like having those guns and sanitizers and the rest. I think that there would be some marginal increase in cost in sending students back when it is time and the president lifts it. But that is not going to parents and wards, guardians want to take care of their wards and give them a few sanitizers. Right. It won't be that huge, but definitely there would be some extra expenses. And the government already has announced there's help from the international Bretton Woods institutions. The Bank of Ghana has already put up about 3 billion and the rest. So I think that we cannot say that we won't have the resources to let the children go back to school. It's a question of their safety, whether the conditions will be good enough. As a nation, we should be able to afford the children to go back to school.
Thanks, Prof. Quickly back to studio now. I've been seeing you nodding and making a lot of notes. Prof. Opoku Agyemang. Having heard what you've heard, let's begin to talk about the specifics now. What must we see in a school, in Cape Coast, when it's time to go back?
All right, my colleagues have spoken about hygiene, and I think that's very important. Just water, soap, tissue paper. You know, during my time, I remember going to thousands of schools because I wanted to see the schools in, you know, on an ordinary day when nobody was looking. It wasn't speech day, my visit wasn't announced. And I saw many things, and they have become more visible, even as we are faced with a pandemic now. You go to a school where there's no washroom. So you ask the teachers, okay, so what do the children do? Then they'll tell you, oh, they go to the bush. Then you ask her, so what education are these children getting? So those were very important. Remember those days, the boreholes, the Veronica buckets. I remember at a time when we were even threatened by Ebola, and the need became even more urgent than usual. So that is a fundamental provision that must occur. But again, when you talk about schools, you said something, and there's something too that you haven't said. The schools, yes, what you said is the place where we send children. But there are different types of schools. The issue of inequality is very, very important and very, very high. My focus or my interest has always been on the public basic schools, simply because this is where the majority of our people can afford to send their children. Anis Hafa was talking about the environment. Look at that environment. So in planning, that area should be of critical importance to us. It should be an area that we prioritize.
Great.
Children like beautiful things, I keep saying. Anis talked about the flowers. They all like beautiful things, regardless where they're coming from. And I also heard Amanda Odoi talking about
women and children.
About women and children. That's very true. Young girls have different hygienic needs in the schools than the boys. Remember when I proposed that as part of our PAD project, we put a little money to supply sanitary towels. Now, is that important or not? You see, these are all things we could have been preparing for because they are very, very important. And Amanda also spoke about mothers helping children and how today it has become worse. But let us know, there are many mothers who can't read. Let us know that there have been many mothers who care about their children as well and as much as any of us, but we have not enabled them, placed them in the position to show interest in the education of their own children.
Wow.
We should also know, I heard Patrick, but he's talking about the university. But let me come down to the basic. What is the reading level of our children? So you see, as we think of the immediate, the water, the distancing, and so on, we should also immediately start planning for the medium term and for the long term. Otherwise, it's going to be an exercise in futility. So yes, my colleagues have talked about the need for sanitation, and I think that's critical. But apart from that, there are many other things too that must happen. We have had the schools closed for 2 months plus now. I'd like to believe that there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of conversation that must have been taking place everywhere. Somebody must have been collating these conversations from the ministry right down. If we can get a summary of those conversations, I think going forward will be much easier than we are.
So we can peruse them and make some of these
by all means.
Yeah.
We want to open the schools. That's fine. Who doesn't want the schools to be open? But what were the reasons for which the schools were closed? Let's list them. Can we take them off that we have satisfied those reasons? So you see, we need to do that homework because
we have to make sure that we are ready to open the schools.
Of course, you want to reopen, you have to be ready.
Right. We understand that we have with us on the phone lines the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Angel Carbonu, to make a quick input into the conversation. Mr. Carbonu, what's your position on a possible reopening of schools? I mean, as an association.
Well, our position is that, like he just said, the schools should be ready within the realities of the current situation, that is the COVID-19 situation, where we will not go to school rather than send them in harm's way where parents will not send children to school, and every minute they are calling school to find out the wherewithal of their children. The teachers who are coming to teach will not be people who can either infect their own students or infect themselves, or students infecting them with the virus. So the question is whether the environment we have currently in relation to the disease that we're talking about, whether the schools are that ready to receive teachers and students.
Okay. What would it take, Mr. Kabonu, practically? For instance, should we say we are testing all teachers?
Well, you test teachers today. I do not know what situation will be tomorrow. So will you be testing the teachers every day? And of course, you and I know that is not going to be practical. Again, let's say you test all teachers and all students before they enter into the school compound. And then, unfortunately, after a week or two, we realize that one or two students or one or two teachers are infected. Then they will have to do contact trace, and that contact trace will have to take all students and teachers in the school.
Wow.
If you find out about, let's say, 20% of the teachers are infected and 200 or 300 students are infected, and you send them all to the quarantine centers, then why did you ask them to come back to school in the first place?
Okay, Mr. Kabonu, I want to get a quick answer from you on how much time do you think it will take before we can get to the point that we are reopening the schools?
Well, I do not know how much time, because I don't even know. In fact, I am even confused about this disease. The time will take will be when the scientists and the medical fraternity tells us the true nature of this disease. Whether it is even a common, for you know, in the next year or two, we'll be told that, unknowingly, this is even a common disease that we could have lived with, and that when you see this and just go to hospital, they'll give you this and that, and you go back to be with your school or your family. I do not know what type of disease this is.
Right.
So that the knowledge of the disease will indicate to us what time we'll be talking about here.
Right. Mr. Kabonu, just give me one more moment. Let me go to a couple of our other guests, and then we'll come back to you to wrap up. So Patrick, you've heard, of course, going round the table, what some of the ideas are. For you, practically, what must we see before we can say where we are beginning to reopen schools? What must we see on these compounds?
Well, this is a difficult question, and I don't think anybody has all the answers. But what I will say is that generally we have a solution space before us, and what we choose depends on how much risk we're willing to take. So the solution space, I'll just mention maybe 3 points of it. So one is we just lost one term of school in the public schools, or half a semester in the universities. The universities have continued to run online, so they're taken care of. But do you open now and try to complete the one term, the third term that has been lost? So that's one point in the solution space. The second point in the solution space is to say, look, we're not going to try to complete this academic year, but we're going to plan to open next academic year in August, September, right? And that gives us time to really understand what is happening with this disease, how is it affecting us in our environment, what are the real risks of, how many people are going to get infected, and if they do get infected, how dangerous is it in our environment. And then the third point in the solution space is to say that, look, we don't want to take any risks. We want to wait until we know we can protect everybody. And the way to protect everybody, there's really two things. Either we wait for a vaccine, or we wait for a very clear protocol cure for this. So we know that if somebody gets it, or if some students get into school, there's a very quick medical intervention that actually cures the disease. Now, a vaccine is maybe 12 months away, give or take. So those really are the points. Are you going to open now? Are you going to open next academic year? Are you going to wait for a vaccine?
Which one do you think would be more feasible, Patrick?
Well, if you were to ask me, I would say that opening now is very difficult and probably should not be attempted. We should just say that we've lost a third term of the academic year. We should have a plan to get WASI grades generated for students who were in the third year this last academic year using continuous assessment. And let's not attempt to complete this academic year. Just take the next few months off as well. Now, aim for September to start. And between now and September, continue to monitor what's happening, continue to prepare the schools to be ready to receive students. And that's all the things that you will do in terms of protocols to maximize safety of students and teachers, making sure everybody's wearing face masks, making sure you have sanitation facilities, making sure that there's a mechanism for quickly identifying if people get infected and treat them. So that is, I would not attempt to open now. I would wait till at least August or September. And that gives us time to really understand how to deal with this and also take some preparatory steps. But if we really want zero risk, then you wait for a vaccine. And the question is, can we wait a year?
Well, the Minister for Information said on this platform last week, and with that comment, I'm going to Prof. Adair. He said on this platform last week that it will not be feasible for us to wait it out. But it's still an interesting idea. And Prof, again, we've mentioned this before. We may have to wait for a while. Are you agreeing with that point of waiting till maybe August or September? Or perhaps in the next few weeks, we can begin to see opening of sorts?
Well, let me come in here. I think that I will have a modified form of my boss, Patrick High. And let me say that we must distinguish in this case between the final years and the other students. I think that we should not rush with the non-final year students. In fact, for me, even if they have to start the next academic year in January, we can manage it. But we must make sure that we don't bulge the two so that we can concentrate on the final years only now. If you want to concentrate on the final years, it means that if you go to the secondary school, only the final years are coming. And you can use a track system, even so to at the same time. So then we can use them also almost like, I say, Ghana pigs, to learn when we bring all the students, what we will do. We will learn to monitor their temperatures and everything else. If we do so also for the university final years, then when we follow what Patrick is suggesting, which I agree with, by delaying the next batch, when we reopen, everybody would then fall into their place. It's not some final years. So we must distinguish between those in the final years who had almost finished their program. They had only few weeks.
Okay.
Students who were doing the Cambridge examinations had only about 6 weeks left, and then the WASI had only 8 weeks. So we must distinguish between them.
Right.
But we must not rush to open the school January.
Right. Let me go to Nana Kofi Kwachi on this one. Nana, would distinguishing between final years in a stream and the entire school make much of a difference in terms of how that can limit the spread of the virus? I mean, you are the one playing in health here. Would a graduated reopening help? Do I have Nana Kofi Kwachi with us still? Okay,
yes.
We'll try and get him
Daniel.
back. Oh, great, Nana. I wanted to know that from the perspective of a public health expert, will distinguishing between the final years, bringing in one stream only, would it help in limiting spread? Would it achieve what we want to achieve?
Of course. I mean, any kind of approach that involves limiting the number of students who are on campus at a given time at any level from kindergarten all the way up to tertiary is a good thing. That's something that if we can manage, we should look at. That fundamentally speaks to what processes we are using to make determinations about reopening. Like Patrick has said, like Professor Adair has said, final years and looking at their educational gains and making sure that their continuity of learning is interrupted is a priority. So looking at that as the starting point for a conversation does make a lot of sense. The other modules that have been used in other countries or that are in consideration in other countries, looking at the question on geographic basis. So looking at areas of different countries where perhaps students are pretty poor, don't have access to or facilities for online learning or distance learning, and therefore, especially if the risk is lower there, attempting some kinds of reopenings in those areas. We're seeing some countries do it by population size and density. We're seeing some of them doing it by age groups, because we know, for example, that kindergarten students kindergarten primary students have a much harder time learning in a distance setting than older students would have.
Right.
But any of those kind of procedures that make it so that we are not having everybody return at the same time, but we are limiting the number of people and the density of people in a facility, those are all ideas that we have to absolutely consider. And what we should understand, like Professor Adair said, is that there is no practical, and Patrick said too, there's no practical way of going back right now in terms of full force reopenings, given the realities on the ground of COVID-19 and the pragmatic risk it poses, especially in a resource-limited setting where our ability to do all the kinds of dramatic things, including repeated testing of students and staff, that contact tracing, all these things are limited in our setting. So we have to be pragmatic about what's feasible in the short term.
Nana, thank you so much for that. We have to be pragmatic about what's feasible in the short term. When I come to you, I would like you to limit it to the barest minimums. And we are leading heavily on you in this discussion because I want you to tell us what we can't do without. What can we not do without on a school campus? When we come back to you, I'll do that. But I want to quickly go back to Mr. Kabonu on the phone line. Mr. Kabonu, have you been engaged by government to train, as a teaching population, to train you, to empower you in any way for a possible reopening of schools?
Well, we have had engagement with the Ghana Education Service. We have also met the COVID-19 team. Today, representatives of the unions are meeting His Excellency, the President, at the Jubilee House. I think the time is at 2 p.m. I think these are all series of engagements that the government has put in place to solicit ideas and to exchange ideas as to the way forward.
Okay.
Again, let me just quickly chip in here and indicate that nobody can claim to have answers absolutely to those developments. Nobody is taking any entrenched position. This is not even an issue for us unions. We even take an entrenched position because our children are also in school. Our teachers are also supposed to go to school because apart from the classroom work, the teachers also engage in a lot of other activities in and around the school, and it has affected all of us. So these series of engagement with government, we hope at the end of the day, we'll find a solution to the problem.
Okay, now I was also asking about training, safety protocols, how to handle children who may test positive. Has anything like that happened?
I think your question is even enlightening me as to some demands that we have to make, because we all are under the assumption that we can handle the situation. Training have not taken place yet. Conversation for training have not taken place. But I see the wisdom in your question, and I think that we all have to look at that aspect. How should we react ourselves in adhering to the protocol and adhering to the protocols appropriately? So I think that you have asked the question touching on a very important and salient issue that we all have to look at.
On a side note, perhaps when you meet with the president later today, you can bring it up.
Absolutely, I will, and the credit will come to you.
Oh, it's not about the credit. Thank you very much, Mr. Kabonu. I think that we can allow Mr. Kabonu to go now to prepare for his meeting. And thank you so much for joining us. He's the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Angel Kabono. He came to represent the teaching community. Of course, we are live on the Virtual Policy Forum here on Prime Morning. My name is Daniel. I'm in studio with Professor Jenano Pokwa-Jumain. She is the former Minister for Education. We also have with us in a Zoom conference Patrick Ewa, President and founder of Ashesi University, Professor Stephen Adair, former rector of GIMPA, also a Professor Emeritus at Ashesi University, Dr. Amanda Odoi, who is a research fellow at SEGRAD, Nana Kofi Kwache, who is an adjunct assistant professor at New York University School of Global Public Health. And of course, we also have Anis Hafa, who I'm going to next. He's an educationist and he's the head of Gates Foundation. Mr. Hafa, you heard the concerns of the teachers. Are these concerns in order? Is there anything that they are not looking at?
Well, I'm the founder of Gate Institute, not Gate Foundation.
Gate Institute.
Let's get that straight.
Thank you very much. That's not something to tell the president. I got it wrong. Go ahead.
It's not that rich.
Go ahead.
I was waiting to hear more than that. Anyway, this is, look, from now till September, we're looking at about 4 or 5 months. And the question is, what do we do in the interim? And my suggestion is this. And remember what I said earlier. We are in a revolution. There's an inflection point in education that we cannot discard. And this crisis offers opportunity to clean up our act. And that's what I'm suggesting. In the meantime, what are we going to do with the public schools? And the issue that I raise consistently is this: to see how management is effective or ineffective, walk into any public school as we speak. So what I'm saying is this: in the meantime, we need to really bring everyone on board, especially the corporations. That's not a one-man show. So what I'm suggesting is this: even for schools that don't have water, what preparation are we getting in terms of allowing, private participation? Are there people who can donate water tanks? These are things that we have to begin to look at. What are the nature of the desks and the chairs that we have in the schools? In the meantime, what can we do? So what I'm saying that the fiscal aspects are very important. Can we start some landscape policies so that within the 6 months that we are out, something is happening? Can you imagine growing trees right now in the rainy season? By the time we come back in September, if September is the time that we agree on, something could be happening there. That is one aspect of it. The other is this: we have about 20% of the population in this country sitting at home now. What are they supposed to do? So what I'm suggesting is this: we have to now begin to engage the radio stations. I like what you're doing, our multimedia, because everybody has access to television or radio in one form or the other. We cannot have the kids idle. These are the things that we have to begin to understand. And also what I'm suggesting to teachers is this: even though we are in this particular situation, we need to have the weekly forecast or some kind of scheme of work going, so that we alert students in terms of what they should expect of us on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. Because look, we are being educated right now using this particular platform. Kids can be educated watching television, so that they are not drifting into other places where we don't want to see them. The devil finds work for the idle hands to do. So what I'm suggesting is this: now we need to also kick in corporate social responsibility. Corporations, for example, cannot assume that they don't know what's going on. They know what is going on. So when we begin to even look at internet facilities, we're looking at MTN, we're looking at Vodafone and so on, they should come back, they should leave their board offices and be visible in terms of solving this particular problem. Because what I'm saying is this: there's a revolution has started, whether we like it or not, and we have to live up to those expectations. Right. But the most important thing that really bothers me all over this country, from Accra all the way to Nairobi, and we've gone beyond Tukana, is the lack of health facilities for the children. A pandemic looks at ways in which it can be explosive, especially where conditions are not hygienic. So in the meantime, what are we doing? So what I'm saying is this: teachers should be visible. This is really, and I always like to bring the element of how Lee Kuan Yew started Singapore in the 1960s. Everybody was on board. The police were on board, the soldiers were on board, the administrators were on board. Whatever it is that we can do to make sure that in the meantime, the schools are conducive when the kids get in. We cannot pretend that these things are not happening. Have not happened. And that is the part that really bothers me. We are laid back and waiting for the pandemic to disappear, but a crisis offers an opportunity. And I think we should live up to those responsibilities.
Right. Mr. Hafa, great point. I love Prof. Ade. Yes. I love how Mr. Hafa just hit it on the head when he talked about health facilities in schools. And as a journalist, I have covered individual outbreaks on small scales, and it always leads to a glut in one hospital or the other. Whether it's meningitis in Kumasi, whether it's, on any kind of disease, it leads to a glut in one school or the other. How can we practically link these schools to hospitals and maybe health officials quickly so that they can manage a possible mini outbreak if schools are reopened? Do I have Prof? Okay, you're so live on Prime Morning.
Yes, I am.
Great. Prof, I was talking about linking...
I thought to Dr. Kwaji, but let me say this. I think that this moment, apart from the small new districts, every district has gotten a district hospital. And as my friend from Tuduka was saying, I think it's important that every district hospital now should have an isolation center so that they can handle not only for the children, but for anything that crops up in the district. So it's one of the things that can be looked at, but this is a medical one. And of course, every school must also have some isolation center. At this moment, should the children come to school and someone to be found to have a high temperature, they must be able to have a place, maybe one classroom set aside for that purpose. Okay. Because the first thing is isolation.
Okay, Prof, a quick follow to this one. Do you think that we can practically bring children in kindergarten, in preschool back?
Well, I think that we indirectly handled it earlier, that at this moment, we shouldn't rush to take the children back to school until we know a little bit more about the disease and how to manage it. Let us focus on the final year students only. I think that we can afford about 3 months without rushing the kindergartens and everybody to school. And that will be, for me, my practical suggestion. Let us focus on the final years so that when the school starts, we have gotten them out of the way, so to speak, in a more positive way, and then others can fill their plate. I think that, said and Patrick, I think that we should be quite slow in ruining all the schools wholesale.
Okay, let me just inform viewers that as we advertised earlier, we have a live Zoom audience. We have a live Zoom audience. I wish I could say hi to my friends on Zoom. After the final comments from a couple more of our experts, we'll bring them in to ask questions, and then we'll come back to our experts for answers, and then we'll begin wrapping up the conversation. So, hello, good morning, people. So the rules will be simple. Mute yourselves, unmute yourself, ask your question. Please, let's keep it as short as possible so that we can have a very engaging discussion. I'll come back to Dr. Odoi. Dr. Odoi, what do you make of the points that have been raised so far? I think that a clear one now is that let's not bring everyone immediately, maybe just final year students. Let's look at sanitation as well. What can you add?
Dr. Odoi, you're muted.
Sorry. I buy into the ideas that have been shared so far. That it's not, we don't have to rush to bring everybody to school, but to consider the senior levels. But for me, I think the most critical point is to have the university final year students on campus, and then have them to come. Maybe we can consider the university level and have all the students come in. You're coming to write exams, so they come 2 weeks, because averagely it takes 2 weeks for the students to write the exams. So final year students come for 2 weeks, and they can come and write the exam. And the universities have quite a number of halls that they can allocate this students. UCC funds, where I am familiar with, we have about 8 halls, and averagely 500 to each hall. And then we have a spare 2 private halls that we can use at isolation centers. They can come and write the exams. You can group the students according to their colleges to allow or assist with contact tracing. So they are in the halls according to their colleges so that you know who they come in contact with most often. And further, I think it's also important that we take into consideration the hotspots in Ghana. We can also allocate them the halls according to the hotspots they are coming from. Because then you know that, okay, these people coming from Accra may be coming from very, some places that will be, will expose them. So you keep them in the halls according to enhance their ability to trace them and track them. I think it's also easy to track the university students because they are, when you assign them the hall, so now when they come back to campus, they are not supposed to be in their private hostels.
Okay.
You make sure they are all in the halls of residence to assist them, and I think it will be helpful.
Okay, Doc, I have another person in studio who is very familiar with UCC. Prof, you headed the school one. And I'm thinking, can we bring everyone back to write exams?
Perhaps.
I know you have comments on what has been said, and so you can continue with that, but start with this one.
Whether I can bring everybody at once.
To write exams. No, not at once, in any way or form. In any way or form. I'm just asking about the feasibility of what Dr. Odoye has said.
Yes, like what our colleagues have said, you have to be selective, and the rationale for that selectivity will have to be very clear. Because you see, you need to recognize that you're working with students, and in all of this, what I'm missing are the voices of the students themselves. If you bring them into this conversation, you'll be amazed what they can contribute. So you have to be selective. If it's a final year student, the first year student needs to understand why. And the final year student, him or herself, must understand why this is happening. And in the training, we shouldn't forget the administrative staff. We shouldn't forget the support staff at the schools, my TEU people, the cleaners and office people and so on. So the training for teachers must extend to them as well. They need to understand the protocols themselves. They need to be resourced to identify and be given actionable guidance for prevention, for early detection, for control, for reporting. And then, you know, what Dr. Odoye is saying about isolation. There's a worker there somewhere that will have to take care of this. So I would recommend that, yes, we have a strong relationship. Education has a strong relationship with health, but this needs to be deepened. We have talked about, or I've heard, I think it's Mr. Hafa, talking about the schools without the health facilities. Sick bays and so on. So these are all gaps. As I said, the pandemic has exposed the many gaps that we need to be, we ought to have been paying attention to, but that we need to pay attention to now. In my experience, I've been to schools, even boarding schools. Some of them didn't even have first aid boxes. Can you imagine? And so no wonder when the child has malaria, headache, then the child has to go on public transportation, go all the way home to get cured.
Right.
There are schools that also have infirmaries. They have even sick bays, properly housed by nurses. We have doctors on call. So it's not the same. So the issue of inequality is critical now. Everybody can get this illness, as we are told. So we need to build the country, we need to build education from the bottom up. It cannot be from the top down. So this is what I'll add. Right. And I'll say that in the training of teachers, you must bring along the parents.
Yeah.
You must bring along the students. You must bring along the support staff.
Okay.
From the security man right up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of parents, let's go straight to those who have joined us via Zoom. I would ask that, pardon me, I didn't catch the name. Please introduce yourself. I have a first contributor already. If it's a question to a particular person, you can address the person, or you can just make it general or make your comments. Thank you.
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Najla. Do I have Najla? Okay, please. Yes, if I have Najla, please go ahead. Otherwise, please mute your audio. Right. We need to work out a few issues with our Zoom audience. Pardon us, but we will get those contributions in very quickly so that we can have those questions to answer. Let me go to Nana Kofi now. Health institutions and schools. I foresee a situation where we would need a lot more health professionals to help manage the situation in school, even for monitoring, isolation, contact tracing, what have you. What must we do in that space?
Thank you again. Quite obviously, in terms of the management from a public health perspective, the more people are about and in contact with each other, the more public health staff and facilities are going to be relied on to mitigate spread and to maintain containment measures. So naturally, as we talk about the potential of, especially the residential facilities, we have to look very critically at how we can make sure that at each of those facilities, secondary school, tertiary institutions, there are people in residence who are trained specifically in outbreak management protocols. To recommending testing or seeking out testing assistance, that they know what to do in terms of tracing, and that they know what to do in terms of recommendations around suspension and resumption. If there's a threshold that's defined and that's hit, then the institutions know that they have to look at going to temporary suspensions or entire shutdowns. We need to have those all in place. And that's going to require quite a few additional public health staff in institutions. Additionally, for primary schools, especially in the rural areas or areas where there are not sufficient health facilities, we know that there have to be in the communities resources that make it so that the schools can be supported in their efforts at reopening safely, educating their children safely. And that is going to mean that our CHIP centers have to be prepared to stand in and step in areas where institutional healthcare support is not available. And there have to be the same kind of guidelines around what to do when things aren't operating well. We also will need to have direct supervision of certain critical things to make sure that everybody is abiding by them. We need to make sure that hygiene facilities, hand washing critically is possible all day, every day at every school.
Okay.
We need to know that class size management and distancing protocols are being enforced. That will require oversight, will require constant monitoring. And we need to make sure that we have implementation capacity, like I said earlier, so that if we need to, recruit some additional auxiliary staff who are able to make sure that we can do, proper cleaning, proper disinfection, monitoring, distancing measures, that we have all those in place. But those are absolutely going to be critical in making sure we can do this safely.
I have a quick follow on that, Nana, but before I do that, let me open the phone lines quickly. 0246 807 983. 0246 807 983. Nana, before my first caller comes in, how quickly do you think we can put all of this in place to be able to bring the schools back? Is the September deadline a good one, or we need to go further? Do I have Nana Kofi Kwatu?
While the schools are still closed, I think it buys us time. I think. Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes. While the schools buys us time, we are in a position to.
Unfortunately, the internet connection seems to be failing us now, but Ebenezer from Ofinso has joined us on the phone lines. Ebenezer, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Ebenezer, what's your question?
Currently, I'm really enjoying the show. The only thing I want to add up is they are giving very nice contribution, and I think final years, both secondary, junior high, and university should go back to school, and proper precautionary measures should be put in place to enhance effective teaching and learning.
Right. Ebenezer, thank you very much for calling us from Ofinso.
Thank you very much.
All right, 0246 807 983. You can call and make your contributions or ask your questions. If I have Nana Kofi back, I would still love an answer to that question about how long he thinks it can take from his perspective. There seems to be an agreement about August, September, because it aligns with the school year. But from what you've seen, and I've seen you studying this process a lot, do you think we can make that deadline? Nana Kofi?
Yes, so I think September would mean 4 months, and that's 4 months in which we can really do all the kind of practical staffing measures that we need to put in place, and begin to look at where the weaknesses in terms of systemic loopholes are, systemic gaps are, listing out institutions that have a hard time getting water or that don't have regular water supply, and like Professor Day said, and like Annie said, looking at ways to bring on board private sector aid or any kind of public aid to make sure that those issues of hygiene and stuff are dealt with. But 4 months is time that is sufficient if we work assiduously.
Okay.
I don't think we have the luxury of playing it out to see how it goes out. We have to commit to saying that that's going to be the earliest possible date, but we should still plan towards being ready in terms of our ability to contain and manage the hygiene protocols and potential outbreaks in that time.
Right, back to the phone lines. Dr. Benatus is on the line from WA. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. I'm happy to join this discussion. I'm Dr. Damasus Turoson, the president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, NAPS. Yes, at the level of private schools, we have already taken various measures to ensure that schools reopen appropriately. We have had discussions and come out with a blueprint for reopening of schools. We believe that the reopening of schools should not go beyond July for the final years and possibly September for the rest of the students. The argument is simply that this pandemic is going to be around for a very long time, and the children cannot continue to be at home. There's also a study we did which even showed that in many cases, the children may be more at risk at home than in school, because to what extent are parents taking care of their kids when they are at home? They leave their kids and go to work. The kids leave and go God knows where and do what no one knows. And at that point, no one is enforcing all those measures that should ensure their safety. At school, the children will be made to comply with all the safety measures, washing of hands, sanitizing themselves, ensuring social distancing. Because in many instances, parents are unable to even enforce these regulations. They are unable to ensure that their kids stay safe at home. So it is high time that we talk about reopening of schools from July onwards.
Okay, Dr. Benatus, we are very grateful that you joined us. He's the president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, and they made their case very emphatically. Do we need extra health professionals, given the numbers that we have currently, to manage the situation that we have in the schools? Nana Kofi? Hello?
Yeah, yeah, I'm right here.
Do we need to maybe bring in trainee health professionals to help?
For sure. I think, again, taking advantage of all the human resources we have available to us, especially trained hygienists, trained community health nurses and stuff, and other categories that are still at home. It makes a lot of sense, because we are going to need a tremendous amount of monitoring and oversight and tracing and actual literal health guidance and support in all these institutions. And so making sure that we can take advantage of that, bring them on board, give them practical guidelines and specified protocols for how to manage the communities in the periphery of the institutions. It does make a lot of sense. And it's something I sincerely hope is already in the works, because we will need, especially as we reopen, the practical realities that the risk of spread goes higher. And especially if it's at a time when we don't have effective treatment or effective vaccine, then we will need to have scalability in our response. So having reserve personnel who can fill in those gaps as and when the number count demanded makes it's just practically necessary for any suggestion about reopening or returning to the new normal.
Thank you very much. Madam Charity from Jema is on the line with us, 0246807983. Madam Charity.
Yes.
Yes, what's your contribution, please?
My question is, those of us in the remote villages, our classrooms, we don't have furniture. The children sit on the floor. So some of them sit on the mat, others on the floor to write, and the classroom is even overpopulated. So with this, if we open school, how do we follow the social measures to prevent these children from getting this virus?
A very real question.
Hello?
Very, very real question,
Hello?
Madam Charity. Thank you very much for joining us. Prof, this is what we've been talking about, the reality of the situation. And 0246807983. Prof, any comment on this?
Yes, it is real. And I believe that the ministry will have the list of schools that lack these very, very basic, types of furniture, washrooms, and so on. So as part of the measures to reopen, definitely some task force, some crash program will have to be rolled out to ensure that even normally they shouldn't be sitting on the floor. Normally, that is why I keep saying that, there have been the signs. So normally they shouldn't sit on the floor. Normally they should have washrooms. They don't have washrooms. What have been the plan? Even if we can't fix all of them, we are on the way to doing something.
Okay.
And so at this time, we need to speed that up, And we also, someone was talking about the health. You can redeploy. You can also raise the level of awareness of teachers, of students, behavioral change, all of that, to ensure that we are all upping our sense of hygiene and putting it into practical use.
Okay.
So I really sympathize because I've seen plenty of cases like that.
It's so unfortunate. Madam Hannah Kweku has joined us on the line from Takrady. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, your contribution.
Okay, my question is about the kindergarten pupils. What are the measures put in place? Because for most of the kindergarten school, it is being packed. For instance, some of the villages, we have 70 pupils in a class, and how are we going to handle them? And everything is about activity-based, and how are you going to do that? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I'll give this one to our niece Hafa. Mr. Hafa, how do we do activity-based learning in an era of social distancing?
Now, that is a question. The concern that we have about 60 to 70 students in a classroom, these are infrastructural questions that have to be really, we have to pay attention to them. We pretend those things don't happen. But even when you begin to talk about learner-centered education, for example, where we have young people lead discussions, where we have young people doing projects, where we have young people doing presentations of what it is that they do, you cannot, under any circumstances, do these things with 60 students per classroom. So I think what we are asking for now is that we really have to expand the facilities. I mean, I would imagine about 20% of the population in this school, in this country, is in one form of education or the other. Those facilities have to be expanded. But the other thing now we have to also do is that we have to kick in the elements of technology. I mean, I constantly harp on the fact that we have analog teachers in a digital generation. This is one of the most important aspects of education going forward. Things will not change that much, even from today.
Right.
So what I'm saying is this: we have about 300,000 teachers in the school system. How many of them are comfortable dealing with technology or teaching ICT and that sort of thing? So again, like I said earlier, we're at an inflection point now. The crises are offering opportunities where we can now begin to do all the things that we never did before. So what I'm saying is this: again, we want to begin to look at how we can pull in the radio stations, how we can pull in the TV stations, whatever we can do that to really update the standards of the teachers, so that some of these questions that you're talking about can be addressed properly.
Right. Mr. Hafa, thank you so much. Nothing is where we go next. Pascal has joined us on the lines. Good morning, Pascal.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Go ahead.
Please, my concern is this. our leaders, I've been watching this conversation for long ago. This is like people are up there thinking about the so-called elite children. Because if we come to the rural areas, the children are out there doing nothing. Their parents live in their house as early as 5 a.m., going to marketplaces. They go out, nobody is monitoring them. So if really they are talking about reopening school, or they are talking about the virus, they should try to look at the rural areas, the villages. It is very, very serious. If you go to all these rural areas, you realize that the children, they don't even know what is going on. Most of the parents, excuse me to say, most of the parents are illiterate as far as this pandemic is concerned. So I think they should consider all those factors.
Pascal, thank you so much for joining us with that contribution. Prof Ade, you have a very successful private school in your village.
Well, I would say I have a private Ghana Christian International High School, which is an education trust, has a school in the village. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
And,
yes. So, how do you find that difference? How do we bridge that gap?
Well, let us be honest with ourselves. We cannot bridge the gap between the rural and even urban, high-density areas and elite areas overnight. So we should be focusing on what can we do immediately. And there are some practical ways that we can make a way forward. First of all, sometimes things of old have to be resurrected also. Even though I agree with Hafas, we must go forward. One is double stream. The children, when they go immediately, if comes
Sorry, Prof. We are having a challenge with your line, so please hold on to that thought. We'll come back to you for us to restate the point. I had something on double stream. My ears perked up. But Kelly is on the line from Achimam Punya. Let's take his thoughts quickly before we come back to Prof. Kelly, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. Kelly, let's hear you.
Yeah, my concern is, for my school, for example, I'm a head teacher at Achimam DHS. Actually, we have a first class. That is, we have only 3 classrooms. One for JHS1, one for JHS2, and one for JHS3. As I'm talking right now, I have about 75 students. There are 75 people in JHS3 right now. I'm talking right now. So, for example, for my case, if we are to go back to school right now, you know that we have to go by the protocols. That is social distancing and or everything that the health workers are expecting us to do. How should I go by this? And the students, when there's break, you can't control them. When it's break time, you can't. It's break time. Go out. They'll be just shouting, yeah, and then they'll be running. Running outside. So I think we have to look at pragmatic measures that we can go by this situation, because at the urban cities, the urban areas, yeah, okay, but in the rural place, my brother, you need to be there.
Kelly, I want you to help us, okay? Help us paint a clearer picture of the challenges we face. So you have 3 classrooms.
Yeah, 3.
What other infrastructure do you have on your compound?
That is all. I have my small office for for myself, and then one for the staff. That is all.
Okay. Do you have sanitation facilities there?
A little. This Veronica bucket that we are using just one. That is all.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Beyond the Veronica buckets that are there, do you have a place that's maybe not even an indoor area, like a place that you can isolate someone if there was a problem?
No, actually, no, we don't have.
Do your students? Can you confidently say your students appreciate the pandemic we are facing, and you have the buy-in of parents if you were to ask about any behavioral change?
Oh, actually, you see, the place is a rural place, rural area. And then they are about mining, they are about farming, those kind of stuff, So they are not actually acquainted with the system as to how to, let's say, protections, what is supposed to do. The education is not much over there. That's how I have to put it. They don't really understand this.
Kelly, pardon me if I seem like I'm probing here, but I just want us to have a clear picture of this thing. What do you think would work? If you were to speak to the president now, what do you think would work?
I think the president should look at we are the rural environment. Provision of some, like what Professor said. Provision of some assistance, like deploying some of the health. Equipping. We have a very good chip compound over there. Giving them, retooling them with staff, and then with things that.
Okay.
If there's any situation, you can run to those kind of places.
Okay.
I have one at my place, and I think if they have enough
facilities, enough resources,
things that it can, equip them to handle this kind of issue at our local level.
Kelly,
before probably we will run to the cities for assistance observer. Yeah.
Kelly, you are my 7th panelist for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
He's the head of a school at Echuma Mponya. He's the head of Echuma Fiase DAJHS. And very worrying situation there. I want Prof. Ade to finish the point he was making about decongesting schools. If I have him back, then Prof. So if you can hear me, just the thoughts you were on, just if you can just restate that for us.
Yes, I was saying that we should be practical. I think that people should not just throw their hands into the air. First of all, who just spoke, I sympathize with him. If you are having 60 people in a class, and I know the classrooms were originally meant for maximum of 46, you immediately must go into a double stream of having some children coming in the morning, maybe for about 3 hours, and others coming. Again, there's the possibility of mobilizing the community to put up sheds so that you have much more space so that they don't. There must be some pragmatic local solutions to individual problems, because come to think about it, the government, no matter what in the short term, cannot provide all the things we think we need. And therefore, there must be local practical solution to thinning out, spacing the children. And that can be done.
Prof. Ade, thank you very much. Let me go round quickly for final comments from all of our other guests, and then we wrap up the conversation. It's been a riveting one indeed. Dr. Amanda Odoi, practical solutions for us to end with. What would be your final words?
I think much has been saying that need to.
Unfortunately, we seem to have a challenge with Dr. Odoi's.
Yes. And we work classes at home, and
it's a bit difficult to hear you, Dr. Odoi. Please, let's try and rework that connection, and I'll come back to studio for Prof. Opoku-Agyeman to give us her final words. Prof. Okay. As we wrap up.
As we wrap up, I want to say what we all know, that this illness is real. It has caused fear. There is uncertainty. We need assurance. We need a proper plan, a plan that has everybody's voice in it, so that going on towards implementation is going to be relatively easy. We know the situation with our schools already, and I keep focusing on the public basic schools because of the numbers, and also because I believe this is one of the areas we need to be paying attention to more and more. We also need to recognize that we have a situation that is rather unusual, not only because it's a pandemic, but because you have two issues.
What do you want? Say you can't saluna. What's a wonko? Now so would shrinkwa. Say my kwakosia. CB herbal soap. No one shall me now.
Wo 19 apai anase ayede nso a fa CB herbal soap sra wo 19 ene wo 9 room Germany ni 10 minutes ansa na wo de ebo anase kan ketwa arevre efini nyina kama hye nso se yemfa nsra ye nan ho ene ye honam CB herbal soap eyi 90 ma pro efi ene enkabone
Mido okay yo CB herbal soap no eje tumankasa from now Suziana Ghana mani mema damase
FDA ahwehwe saa ejedi nkrato yi mu agye atomu se
to all I
schools in detection, in control, and in knowing what it is that we need to do.
Okay.
And yes, and you know, one area that I want us to be very, very interested in are our caregivers. Those who take care of our children who have special needs. We have not talked about them at all, but they are very important. Those who are visually impaired, how they're going to do their social distancing, those who are intellectually challenged, those who are audio, hearing impaired, all the children, they're also our children.
Yeah.
And in planning and in going forward, we need to bring them on board. And as I said, it should be a holistic approach. It's everybody on board all the time going forward.
Okay.
And even as the pandemic ends, and we all hope it does, the lessons learned are what is important. Hygiene is not a fashion. It doesn't go, it's not something that goes out of fashion. We should up our hygiene, our sanitation all the time.
Thank you so much, Prof.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Prof. We'll take a final caller before I take any other final words from my guests. Patricia is on the line from Jacobo. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning.
Patricia, let's hear you.
Please, I wanted to ask, we the final year students at the nursing training, to commence next month till July. I want to ask what the is going to do about practical exams and what the government is doing to make sure that we are protected in hospitals. Thank you.
You were talking about practical exams. Okay. The phone line is a bit jerky, but I think we got what you said about practical exams. Okay, thank you very much. I would have to thank my virtual Zoom audience. This was supposed to be done with you, but we had a few technical challenges. We had over 400 people reaching us. That's the first challenge we had. We had over 400 people reaching out to us that you want to join this conversation via Zoom. We didn't have it the way we wanted to. Please forgive us. This is the first virtual policy forum. Going forward, virtual or no, we'll make sure that we get it right. Let me take final comments from Anis Hafar.
Right. I've written extensively about the irony of analog teachers in a digital generation. When we were in school, when we were in Fanspin, all we had to do was to memorize information or to repeat information that was fed to us by our teachers. Things have changed.
Right.
Now, on the internet, there's no information under the sun that's not available.
Okay.
So the issue was this. We need to really bring our teachers up to speed in terms of how they can access internet, how they can be comfortable, and so on. And when that is done, education takes on a different meaning altogether. It's not where you memorize information, you reproduce it, and you get a college degree for it. Those days are gone because that creates poverty. So the issue was this. As we are going forward, what are the key educational outcomes? And the first thing is this. For all the education that we're getting, what is something that we can produce to show the extent of our education? That's number one. Anything that can make another person's life easier. Or what is a service? That's another option. What's a service that we can provide so that another person's life becomes easier to show our humanity? And the third one is this. What is a solution to a societal problem? Again, like I said earlier, we are at the crux of a pandemic. Right. But what it's doing is that it's opening our eyes to possibilities. This should not be wasted. So the issue is this, at the end of the day, what is the service that we could provide so that we become a nation that solves problems.
Okay.
Not a nation.
Mr. Afa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you as well to Dr. Amanda Odoi, who is a research fellow at SEGRA, Nana Kofi Kwache, who is an adjunct assistant professor at NYU, Professor Stephen Adair, former rector of GIMPA, Patrick Ewa, who is founder and president of Ashesi University. We also had Angel Kabono of Nagrat, and we were called by Dr. Benatus, who is the president of the Ghana National Association of Private Schools. Thank you so much. And of course, our in-studio guest, Professor Nana Opoku Ajiman. And we are so grateful you joined us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And the over 400 people who join us on Zoom, make sure we get it right next time. Thank you very much. This has been a virtual policy forum here, the first of its kind here on Prime Morning on Joy Prime. My name is Daniel Daze. Up next, let's talk bits and bytes with Kobe Spaki.
To all our emergency doctors, you never know who is walking through those doors, but you tend to everybody without fear.
The staff of the Gucci, Kolebu, KCCR, and all other testing centers. Where would we be without you?
We know some of you have been badly affected by this virus, yet you defy the fear of the unknown to fight against this virus on our behalf.
You have been awesome in these trying times. You put your lives on the line every day.
We feel safe because we know you are there. We really do appreciate you all. And what we can say at this moment is thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Akbenalo. That's all we can say.
Alluring, elegant, glossy, fascinating, glamorous, and the beauty of culture.
This is where we bring you more exciting moments, extremely interesting, with your favorite celebrities on the continent. My name is Faiza Mohammed, and I welcome you to the new season of Family and Friends TV. Cheers!
Joy Prime, real entertainment.
We promised we delivered a new learning experience. Joy Learning, Ghana's first ever educational television channel, is here. It is well accepted by the students and highly recommended by the teachers. Let's hear what they have to say.
It helped me a lot. In fact, today when I received my elective maths exam paper, I felt glad. Because I was the one who was second in all the classes. We had 40. But in our class, I topped.
The Joy Learning has really helped me. It has helped me in many ways. It has helped me in learning English and a lot. I think Joy Learning is good and I want to recommend this for my friends.
In collaboration with our partners, SES, KNET, and Wolo e-learning project, we bring you the best of your classroom experience on your television in the comfort of your home and everywhere. Joy Learning, keep learning.
To all our emergency doctors, you never know who is walking through those doors, but you tend to everybody without fear.
The staff of the Gucci, Kolebu, KCCR, and all other testing centers. Where would we be without you?
We know some of you have been badly affected by this virus, yet you defy the fear of the unknown to fight against this virus on our behalf.
You have been awesome in these trying times. You put your lives on the line every day.
We feel safe because we know you are there. We really do appreciate you all. And what we can say at this moment is thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Akbenalo. That's all we can say.
No one, no training, no amount of preparation can get any professional ready for this kind of pandemic.
We feel safe because you know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
I want to say thank you to the first responders and the ambulance crew rushing to situations unknown.
The call center operatives who stay on the other end of the phone lines 24/7. Thank you.
To cleaners at the hospitals and in isolation centers. Today, your job is more dangerous than ever. Thank you, Akbenami.
We feel safe because we know you are there. Thank you, all our frontline health workers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joy Prime, Hits FM, and the Multimedia Group Limited says thank you. Ayeko. Yadamasanimu Jumapa Amoye. Frontliners Yamawanamo. We say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. Yamawanamo. We say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. Money, money, that you are we're saying thank you. Money, money, that you are we're saying thank you. Hey, to our nurses and doctors, we're saying thank you. Military officials, we're saying thank you. Our policemen, we're saying thank you for standing on the front line through this pandemic. We're saying thank you. Our drivers and our farmers, our market women, we're seeing what you're doing. Ayiko, ambulance services, money yo. Our gratitude is a constant reminder to all of those who are making a difference to change the world, a difference to heal the land, a difference to give us lives, and a difference to hold the line. We're saying thank you. We say thank you to our media in Ghana, other health workers, sanitation workers, researchers, and everyone holding the line for a better Ghana. Frontliners, Yamawanamo, we say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation. Yamawanamo, we say thank you for the good things you are doing for our nation.
Welcome back. Now you're still watching Prime Morning. Now after a very heavy conversation, it's time for us to take off our jackets, and I was really going to lose my tie a little bit, and get ourselves into something much more relaxed and a bit more fun and exciting as well. Okay, so now in recent times, I don't even know how long you've been playing video games, but if I can cast my mind back to as early as the early 90s, I started off playing games like the Atari 64, and then the Super Nintendos, and the Nintendos, and the Xboxes. Yeah, even those ones are even current. But the esports, now electronic sports, that industry, when we're talking about video gaming, has now become one of the big beacons of the world when we talk about entertainment. Now this morning, we want to focus a bit more on esports. Now esports, of course, thriving off all these consoles that I have mentioned. I don't know if you've had a chance to experience any of the the video games that have come to pass as well. Now this morning my guest here is, of course, is Kobe Spikey. And Kobe, so we are going to be talking about esports. Now everybody plays games. We all play football, we play volleyball, we play soccer, we play what again we play? Mortal Kombat. It gets very fisty and feisty, eh?
Battlefield, Fortnite for the kids.
Oh yes. So now people have taken this from just a matter of the physical into the electronic world, and now this electronic world has become a multi-billion-dollar industry, and almost everyone is in there. When I say everyone, your favorite personalities, should I say, sports personalities are in there. All right. So we want to focus our attention on esports, this multi-billion-dollar industry that it looks like some people are closing their eye on, but the rest of the world have opened their eyes to this huge area that people are raking in so much millions. Now, Kobe, what is esports in general?
So, when we were kids, they used to tell us, don't play games, you're killing your brains.
I remember.
You're not going to be intelligent, you should be focusing on your books. And now our parents are being proved wrong.
Well, you might want to say they've been proven wrong, but maybe was it because a couple of years back the content of these games didn't promote the essential cultural values that, because you're playing a game like Mortal Kombat and you're killing people.
Have you ever seen anyone actually go out in the streets and try and punch people?
Yes, I have seen. Well, in the US, there are recorded cases of people who had gone out, to shoot, and all these are trainings they've gotten off video games.
And people have landed planes by playing flight simulators.
Oh yes, they have. Equally.
Anyway,
so it's got good sides and bad sides.
Yes, good sides and bad sides. Even though, so what happened with esports or gaming in general was that it became a business. It became something where, surprisingly, it's starting to rake in a lot of cash because, granted, the internet opened the way for us to be able to play video games with people. So I could play with you, Jay, in your house. I could be in my house. I would be playing. And it became competitive. Just like any other sport that a lot of people are playing, it becomes competitive over time. And to the extent that everyone wants to prove to the next person, hey, I'm better than you.
Yes.
So how best to do this than to make it a competition where people can compete against themselves on a grand stage or across, the oceans. And to the extent that we've gotten, as you can see on the screen, we've gotten people from Ghana. This is the Esports, Ghana Esports Association. They play
Ghana Esports Association.
Headed by Kwesi Hayford. Currently, you can see Kobe from Ghana playing Amala from Uganda. Yes, from Uganda.
Wow.
And it's amazing. You wouldn't have had this before, but with the birth of the internet, now everything is possible.
Wow.
And some of these.
So basically, a gaming platform has been developed that networks gamers across the globe to play particular kinds of games.
Yes. So you probably heard of Fortnite, which is...
I haven't heard of Fortnite.
So Fortnite is like a battle royale. When we say battle royale, a lot of people, about 100 players, gather in an open space and they have to fight against each other. So the last man standing wins. We have PUBG, which is PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, which is the same. We have Call of Duty Mobile, Call of Duty Warzone.
I love Call of Duty. Oof, I love Call of Duty.
And now we have Call of Duty Warzone, which lets people play, open world against each other. So you, me, everyone all over the world, about 100 people, we have to fight against each other. And the last man standing wins. So I was mentioning Fortnite. Fortnite's last game competition was won by Gistorf, a 16-year-old boy. He won $3 million playing a video game.
Fortnite, you said?
Yeah, Fortnite.
So Fortnite is a video game.
Yeah.
And you're saying a 16-year-old boy partook in it and won $3 million.
Yes. Now that's even the least prize pool that we've seen. There's a game called Dota 2, which has
Dota.
Yeah, DOTA 2.
Okay.
And it has people playing all over the world too, and they go and have competitions. And Dota has one of the biggest prize pool money. We're talking up to $11 million for the first prize.
Wait, so who's funding this?
So, when we say prize pool, there's a lot of people contributing money into these as in prizes. So you have sponsors, you have people who created the equipment, you have Intel, all those people are putting money because people would buy, everyone wants to have the best equipment to play.
Yes.
Reason why I have this, because if I go to play, I have an advantage. My computer won't lag. I wouldn't break and then someone would kill me. Or I wouldn't lose that time when Jay is about to land that uppercut, I could have blocked and then I miss it, and then because my internet or my computer slowed down and yeah.
So you have all these brands advertising just to, playing a key role in there, pumping money into it, and people just going onto these platforms and making huge money.
Making huge, to the extent that we have a company like BMW sponsoring an esports team. BMW makes cars, but they're sponsoring an esports team to the extent that they're taking, games like Formula 1, games like Rally, all those racing games, they have now gone electronic.
Yeah.
So we even have news that the Olympics is going to feature an esports side.
Wow.
Yes, because it's become a sport, a recognized sport.
Let me get a little bit of some economics out of you on this one. Let's come back to Ghana and make it a bit more relatable. So how come we don't have this as a vibrant industry here? I mean, it looks like I didn't even know there was a Ghana esports page.
So like you can see over there, where this was Dota, and that's the first place money. That's the first place prize, $15 million, $602,112.
Wow.
Dollars, yeah.
$15 million.
That's the first place. Second place is $4 million. Third place is $3 million. And we're not saying Ghanaians can't partake in this. If you're good, you're good. You don't have to be from the United States or Europe to play.
Yeah.
We have people like Wonder Kid, or who've gone to play competitions, who represented Ghana in competitions outside the country, and they've placed. So it's about you being good enough, us recognizing that this is quote unquote a sport that people need to be trained in, and they can go and represent Ghana in the international arena and probably bring us home $15 million.
Well, I'm going to give you, because we don't have much time, I'm going to see if I can play a game right now with Kobe Spike here and see if I can rake in about $10 million and take home this morning. If I do win, breakfast on me, trust me. If I lose, breakfast on you. So, what game should we try out?
I think for start, let's go with Mortal Kombat.
Okay, so for those of you out there, I'm very sure you're very much aware of Mortal Kombat. If you haven't come across it in your entire life, I don't know whether you are, unless maybe you're not a gamer, but if you're a gamer, Mortal Kombat is one of those games that every single child who probably had a game or would go to a cafe to play a game would want to experience. So we're going to have a chance. I'm going to play one with, it's now on your screen as you can see. I'm going to have a chance to play with Kobe Spike. Now bear in mind, I haven't played video games in ages. So I'm very sure I would lose this game. It says press X to activate. Okay, so
so press X or A on your controller.
Okay,
yeah?
all
So
right.
you choose
So
your player.
now, since we are in the era of using nose mask, how about I choose a character that identifies with nose mask, because I want them to also project the protocols being observed. Social distancing and nose mask, all right? So there I am. I've chosen Sub-Zero, right?
Yep. And I've chosen Scorpion.
All right. Okay. So I'm now going to learn. So now, so if we're probably not sitting together, there's a chance for us to plug online and play.
And then play this game online. So you be in your house, I be in my house, and I be playing. My cousins, my nephews, they do this all the time. And
is this an
they beat me all the
opportunity
time.
for betting companies to also
Yes,
rake in cash?
I noticed after the whole COVID season, when the whole thing began, most of these betting companies started with people betting on esports. Yeah, because those were the only things that were actually going on. And we found that some footballers were playing FIFA, and I spoke with Gary on my show Geek Squad some time ago, and he told me that some football teams are actually now training players to play in, you know,
interesting.
esports.
So Kobe Spike and myself are going to have a chance to play. Just hold on before you squash me there. I'm going to play one game of Mortal Kombat. Now, this is what we call esports. Now, in as much as these games sometimes project a little bit of violence, there is still a possibility for us to rake in so much money, and I'm very sure if this were encouraged, would it be something that will be encouraged in, can be encouraged in schools to play as co-curricular activities?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
yes,
we have PE, so
yeah.
you could have esports as a physical education.
Okay, so now I have to get my controls right. So Y punches, X punches, A kicks, B kicks. All right. So
and you just stole a point.
All right. So let's see if I can. No, well, he's going to trash me now because he clearly knows how to play this game better than I do. Look at that. I don't even. But anyway, I'll get a hang on this. Just hold on. Okay. I'll get a hang in this very soon. I haven't played this game since JSS 3. Look at that. Now I'm being beaten really hard. I lost the first. Oh. Okay. So Scorpion wins. Well, yes, he beat me in the first round, which is very, very normal. So, so you can imagine if people playing the game across the globe, and then their lives because they're going to make some money off this, their life dependent on this thing. You can imagine.
Oh,
but
Jay,
we learn.
Yeah.
We learn. So as we're learning, we're learning how to play the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Jay, you're trying. You're really
I am trying because I haven't played this game since JSS. You understand?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to remember everything that I...
So Jay is whooping me right now.
Well, a little.
Oh, and you're about to win. Hey,
yes,
what?
this is what I call when you learn the art of the game. You see, so there's one more round to play. Let's see if before we play, how much are you going to bet on me on this one?
Yeah, someone should bet.
Interesting.
Hey,
I'm learning.
I see it's an unfair advantage, Jay, because you're using a controller, I'm using the keyboard.
Okay, now I know I'm losing this one. Yeah.
Oh, good. Jay, you're good. You're really good.
I'm a quick learner when it comes to video games. Oh, that was a quick one. No, don't change side because I'm getting used to this side. Didn't you get it? Yeah, so
if Jay wins, I'll be very upset.
Well,
and I won.
Oh, man, you just believe that? Like, this is the reaction you get when you're playing video games and you lose.
That was so close.
I was so close to it.
That was so close.
You know, I think this is how video games, can. I think it's not only about the violence, but it also develops your ability to think,
your reaction time, and
stuff.
I read somewhere about some psychological stuff about, for instance, because I like driving.
Can we go to FIFA real quickly and see if we have just about 2 minutes left to run up on the show?
I like driving, and I noticed that because of how we play games, with racing and everything, it sort of hasn't had an influence on how I drive. I mean, not that.
If you play a game like Gran Turismo, is it Gran Turismo?
Yes.
Yeah, Gran Turismo, one of those very fancy, flash full speed, drag drift games. You don't want to play that game and go and sit in a car. No. You don't want to.
It's like watching Fast and Furious and going to sit in your car.
It just might have an influence on the way you drive. We have a few more minutes to go, but we're just trying to get ourselves onto a FIFA platform. Now, football or soccer, let me say, has become another huge area, and I'm very sure there are a lot of people who are on platforms playing football. You know, I can imagine.
I mean, I joined an online room, as we call it, where you get to play other people. I mean, I thought I was a don. Where I'm coming from, I was beating everyone, and I get in there and the guy just gives me 6-0 in the first half, and I disconnected.
Just like that.
Since then, I never went online to play FIFA again.
It can easily discourage you. I know some Ghanaian celebrities that play among themselves, the likes of Bisakeda plays it against him play against R2B,
Shaker, Joey B,
Kofi Kinata, as well, and they all engage in similar. But I don't think they make money off these things. No. They play for fun.
But they would bet against each other.
Yes.
Definitely to see who's going to
Well, for the benefit of those who are asking that big question, what does it take for me to own this? How much should I have to invest in owning some of these, and which consoles are current, you know, and are trending for me to jump in?
So it's cheaper to own a console.
Okay.
So with about 2,000 to 3,000 Ghana cedis, you can own a console.
Wow.
Yeah, and then with a console, you can play any game, but the games are expensive, from about 300 Ghana cedis to 500 Ghana cedis.
For a game?
For a game.
Okay, let's quickly choose one because we have 4 minutes left on the show.
Sure.
And let's see if I can whoop him in 4 minutes. Or I'll just go for Inter. It doesn't matter. It's fine. So it's Juventus playing Inter Milan. We've gone for the Italian league, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Serie A.
Well, I don't need no controls, man. I'm fine. Let's go. Let's just make it happen. Okay. Oh no, do we have to do this before?
Yeah. Well, we can just start playing. It's ready.
Yes. Okay, so basically, what is going to happen is that we know Medical and Joey B have been competing a lot when it comes to FIFA. So we'll work out one of these gaming times on Bits and Bytes, and we'll see how we can get these two greats to join us on the show and play. But in the meantime, I'm sending him back to the screen. I think I'm Inter Milan, right?
Yeah, and I'm Juve.
Okay, we have 3 minutes, and I'm going to score a goal in 3 minutes. Let's see. All right.
If I score you, Jay, that would be so cool because I'm still playing with the keyboard.
Wait a second. Oh, there I am. So I'm still not getting used to the control pad. I don't know any control yet. So please pardon me. I'm playing right to left. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh man. And I am out of this game. All right. So it's a corner kick in favor of Kobe Spikey now, but he's not going to win. So let's see what's going to happen. Just mark my words. All right?
Jay, if I win this match,
no, you wouldn't win. I haven't played football in centuries. I don't even know which control that's what. Okay, all right, we'll figure it out. Just watch. Now that I have the ball, let's see what I can do. You can imagine the number of people who come and play FIFA and how much money they put on there.
Yeah.
So let me just pass on to my player and then start a proper. Oh no, man. Okay. Kobe didn't show me any control pad, any controls before we started the game. That's cheating. But it will surprise you that I'm actually better at the keyboard than control.
Oh, are you? So you want us to switch places?
Not yet. Not yet. I haven't played this in ages. I have to first gather my thoughts on. Okay. So what does what? I'm just. Yeah.
You know, and the funny thing is, I know nothing about football. Like absolutely nothing. I don't know the players that are running on the field, nothing. But I have the interest of playing it on the computer.
Well, so there you have it. You've seen us playing the game on the show so far. Well, just our time is up. We have to go. Hope you've enjoyed the show today. My name is Jay Foley, and I'm also going to score a goal right now. Almost there. I'll see you tomorrow. In fact, we'll be back here same time tomorrow. But next week we'll have more on Bits and Bytes. Stay tuned. Go!
Fake goal.
Oh, go! You know, I haven't seen your keeper since we started the game.
Yeah, you haven't.
It's normal. This is very normal. This is like when Ghana was playing Brazil early 90s and we lost, but it's fine. You know, this all started from Italian 90.
Yes.
That was one of the very first football games, professional football game that came out. But Kobe Spikey wouldn't score. No, not when I'm alive.
So when you're dead, I'll score. Oh.
Wait, Kobe. So, all right. Oh, man. I just need to get the control properly. There is no way Kobe Spikey can score. There is no way. No way.
I mean, it means you're very good at defending.
No,
but I've gotten about 5 corners, and I'm still not scoring, Jay. And it's a goal. Jay, can you dust the dirt on my shoulders? Can you dust the dirt on my shoulders?
Joy Prime, real entertainment.
Rangracia is brought to you by
Abby Royal King Cracker,
Indomie Instant Noodles,
Pomo Tomato Mix,
Mentholatum Acne,
Fruitoli,
Fresh Products.